Hello. Guys, we're going to start. Settle down. Those in the back, you and you are the alumni or you are volunteers? Okay. You're telling the truth, no? All the alumni have to come in the front. There's a priority seating for you guys. Okay? All alums of 11 and 12 come to the front. I don't see 90 people. Are there 90 people inside?
Some will come little later, some will. They're all between the 2 days. They're all not arriving day one. Coming and going. But they should be. There are 5 of them. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 on 15 on this side. Had maybe 20. So still, no, alumni.
Manoj is not alumni.
These are about 30. 50. Yeah, these are about 50. Mostly about 50.
Okay, so let's start.
We can.
Guys, we are starting. We have been reminded by Professor Shanta Kumar that we are already late. And in Azim Premji University, we have the habit of never not starting on time. So Professor Shanta, we will start. Yeah.
Hello, good morning. Wonderful to have you all here. This is like, I don't know what, back to the future. Lovely to have you. So we started on this reunion journey thanks to Krunal. Yeah, I can see Krunal here, and Nikhil. And it kind of snowballed. We thought that we would have, some people here, but we didn't expect 93 sign-ups and all of you here together with us. So I'm feeling emotional seeing Aman hugging Naseem. You have a minute more. Hi, and Rajshri, yes. So, a big hand for Rajshri. It's called reverse ragging. Yeah. So, I'm a little overwhelmed by this occasion. But welcome to the first 2 batches. We are celebrating 10 years, and we are also celebrating the many, many firsts that you brought to us as a university. Our first classes, our first hostel experiences, our first Unmukt, our first Karwa, our first student journal, our first student council. That was amazing in just 2 years. So many firsts, and we thought the first reunion should be with you all. So that's why we decided on the first and second batches. Also, you all are a compact group, 200 of you all, and half of you are here. Some of you coming in a little later today, and I think the evening is when we'll have everybody. So to all of you, I think the next 2 days is a time to be back to college. So let us know if you need anything. Let us know how we can help you. And I'm going to hand over to AG, Anurag Gupta. So he likes to be called Anurag, but he gets mixed up with Anurag Behar. So we are calling him AG for now. He takes care of student life cycle. I can see faculty. I'm glad to see so many faces here who must have been around. I missed spotting Sindhu, Shashwati, Himanshu, Rajgopal, Subrat, all here sitting in the back. And of course, Rajshri is here, Aman, Richa. Richa is leading the School of Development, and she would like to hear from all of you all. And of course, we have Indira and Benson and Shailaja on this side. Aman, yeah, how can we forget Aman? So I'm not going to go on like this, but Velu's here too. Hi, Velu, and I'm glad to see Datta also here today. Yeah. Yes, Anurag, over to you. want to say something?
Okay, I don't have much to say. I mean, partly because I was nowhere here when you guys were here, right? 2011, 2012, the batch of 11 and 12, which means those of you who graduated in 13 and 14, and I joined only 2 years back or so. Okay, so I can't kind of relate or talk about any story like Velu can. Like Velu just told me about. He pointed out specifically some students who used to trouble him the most and all that. He's sitting there. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't have any anecdote to tell. Okay, so all I will say is that look, welcome. Okay, it's been really, really nice to have you here. We've been, you know that, we've been planning this for a long time, and it kept on getting postponed because of pandemic and stuff like that. And we wanted to do our convocation before we do this. So we finished that on 3rd of April, I think, and now we are here. And hopefully we'll continue this tradition, not every year, but maybe combine 2 batches and stuff like that. But it's really, really great to see you here. And who is the small child there? Hello? Hi. No, that's okay. Yeah, so the only thing I will say before we formally start this 2 days get together and I give it to Manoj, is that, see, when you think of a founding of an institution, a company, okay, it's not just those who found that institution, who made or who make that institution or the company. So it's not just Mr. Premji, Anurag Bihar, and all the other people who were here in 2011, all the faculty members and stuff like that. It's not just the infrastructure. I mean, of course, this infrastructure did not exist. I mean, I don't know, but I think we were in the PES campus and all that. So it's, and then the admission staff, the non-faculty members and all that. So it is not just those guys who made this university. It also, especially for an educational institution, it's also the first 2 or 3 batches who make that institution. Because without you, we wouldn't have existed, right? Now, it's very difficult to put a number to it, but I think the first 2 or 3 batches are the most important ones. I mean, if you guys, were not here, if you guys didn't join, if you guys disappeared, if you guys didn't do as well in life as you're doing now, we wouldn't exist. Our name would not exist, right? We'll disappear into oblivion. So thanks to you guys, the first and the second batch, and of course, I mean, I'm sure 3rd and 4th batch also, because of you, we have what we have today. Our name and what you guys do in the field is exactly the reason that we can proudly say after 10 years that Azim Premji University exists and we do this and that and all that. So thanks for doing whatever that you're doing, okay? And I'll be around. I'll be around for 2 days. And so those of you who do not know me, I'm Anurag Gupta. Padma introduced me. I hate being called AG, but I have no option. Okay, so I keep cribbing to Anurag, who I happen to know for a long time, that look, because of you, I lost my identity in the university. My even email ID does not have Anurag. It's a dot something. Why? Because if I had kept Anurag.Gupta, then many times we type the first 3 letters of the name and shoot the mail. So all his confidential mails would have come to me. And I was okay with that actually. But he said, no. And then he somehow convinced me to give up my name. Okay, with this, I formally invite Manoj to begin the 2-day get-together.
Thanks, AG. Now you realize that all Anurags are like this, right? Generally terrible, right? Right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's such a pleasure. I mean, I can't explain, how happy, we are, and particularly I am, seeing so many of you, right? Half of them turning up is a big thing. So, thank you so much. Welcome. Because in many ways, you are an experiment, right? So absolutely true, right? I mean, I'm taken back to 2011. Padma and I think joined about a month difference. So she was doing some silly work. I was also doing some silly work, and we just come and join the university. Of course, we had some faculty who told us they know what to do. We had no clue. I can talk on behalf of Padma and me. We had no clue, right? And suddenly we had to do admissions, academic administration. People will come and ask, what is the process for this? What is the process for that? So we learned on the fly. I think it's an experiment. We can safely say that it is a grand success, right? See, even today, knowingly or unknowingly, when we set up something new, set up a new process, we go back and ask ourselves saying that, is this what we did with our first batch, second batch, right? We compare ourselves, right? So you've been in that sense a benchmark, right? So thank you for being that. And once again, welcome. Have a good time over the next 2 days here. Thank you.
So Manoj is admitting to knowing nothing, but don't take him too seriously as far as I'm concerned. So, are we ready? I'm still feeling like screeching and saying, Sneha, you're here. Yeah. So, we thought that we were too many to have a very organic pass of mics and sharing because it would take too long. So we decided we'll ask for volunteers, and we have 8 volunteers who have said they would like to share. What they're going to share broadly is what they're doing and what has been the journey after university and what have been their challenges, impact of their work, etc. So I think we'll start in the order of Sheetal first. Sheetal, are you ready to go? Yeah, you'd like to come. So Sheetal is from MA Education 2011-13 and she's at the helm of Teacher Author. She says it's not yet an organization, so I think she's getting there slowly. And the program that she runs invites teachers, children's literature enthusiasts and students of education to develop a theoretical framework around language. And I'm not going to say the rest of your introduction, and you please tell us more. So Sheetal is based in Delhi. Yeah. So.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for having me here. It's so good to be back in a different place, and I was just sharing with Manojji that I think only the texture and the color of our hair has changed and nothing has changed. So it's so cool. Yeah. A little before how I entered Azim Premji University. So I was working at Digantar. It's a small school based out of Jaipur. It's an alternative school, and Rohitji was teaching philosophy there. And I just happened to complete my second year there as a primary grade teacher, and I thought I wanted to study Aage. So he said, it's going to be tough, so we're going to make sure that, you just survive and, like, let's see, let's try. So entered APU, and again, 1.5 months into the semester, and my mother was like, Azim Chacha is not, is not investing properly. He's taken 80 people from across the country and, look at you, not taking your deadline seriously, your assignment seriously. 1.5 months into the semester. So like, okay. During the 2 years at the university, I think personally, I think Krunal, if he's here, right? Yeah, Krunal and both of us sat for the placement, saw all the presentations, and did not actually get a job. Yeah. So not, I don't know why, but we didn't actually were looking for a job, but we actually sat through and came to know about so many people doing so many interesting work across the country. So, and I think we survived all these 2 years and also post 2 years because of the constant engagement that I personally had with a few of my friends here and also the faculty. We kept, nudging them. So thank you so much for being so patient with me. Post 2013, got the opportunity to work as a researcher, again based out of Delhi in Jamia. Worked there for a 10-month project, visited some school again with Krunal. We went to Ladakh and kind of survived that temperature as well. But yeah, came back alive and I thought that after studying masters, I needed to be back with students. So I again went back to the classroom and worked as a primary school teacher for 2 years. And 2017, I thought I again wanted to study Aage. And that's when my mother again said, "Ki, when is your chacha starting the PhD program?" I said, hold on. So yeah, then I started working with teachers and organizations, freelancing basically, and traveling. So that gave a lot of freedom and a lot of exposure. And 2020 June, when the pandemic hit, I lost my job. So I was like, what do I do now in life to just stay sane and maybe constructively productive? And that's when I started this very small initiative called the Teacher Author Program. As the name suggests, it's literally, thank you so much, it's literally teacher and author. That's what my journey has been as a teacher, starting from Digantar, writing children's literature in the language of the learners. So I know only Hindi and English. Well, I proudly say I know Telugu, but people don't understand my Telugu. So, but yeah, this program is a 5-weekend long program wherein we invite teachers, children's literature enthusiasts, and even students of education to come and engage with the idea of language and write some authentic material for their learners. And been very grateful to Bika sharing my ideas, and others who I think are not here, Risha, yeah. So and they've been kind of very encouraging. I think there've been people who've questioned, critiqued, which really helped me. But thankfully, surviving 2 years of the teacher author program, and I think hopefully growing strong. Um, um, I am happy to share that the program will be rolled out with the university starting in August semester. So yeah, thank you, Azim Premji, wherever he is, and especially the people whom we've looked, met, and been with, eaten with, smiled, laughed with, and all the best for all your individual journeys. Thank you. Any questions, Padma says?
We thought this would be a kind of interactive session. So if anybody has anything to ask Sheetal or any comments. Shailesh is saying, "Badhiya, badhiya, chalo." So we thought 5 minutes for sharing and then maybe 10 minutes for any kind of interaction. Yasin, yes, go. Maybe we need another mic, right? Do we have another mic?
Hello. So, Sital, really great to see you here. I haven't seen your work and the rest really fantastic. Fantastic. See, I want to see you were working under some organization and you are now leading something independently. How do you feel that shift? You're leading something and it's going to be soon an organization. How do you see that?
Yeah,
How do you
sir,
feel?
you've been very optimistic here. I don't know an organization, but Yasin is one person who's kind of again supported, and your teachers have also joined the program. So thank you for that. But I think leaving a settled kind of a space to becoming and doing something was not new for me. I'd been jobless before, so I had that experience. But I can say that happily because probably I did not have any liabilities to take care as such. So that being a privilege, I think. But to be able to do something on one's own gives a lot of freedom, which I enjoy, and also a lot of challenges, especially to just make people join your journey. Just to tell them it's a skill and you can learn it, and children in your classroom will benefit. So that's one challenge that I continuously face. But in that journey, I've met a lot of people and shared and listened to their stories as well. So that has been helpful.
Thank you.
Yes, Amanji.
Thank you. So nice to see you again, Sheetal. I have two questions which are the flip of each other. One is that if you, and I'm genuinely curious, if you look back at your stay over here and your life after that, what do you think, what could be some things which helped you the most from which you got from here? And what could be some things which you felt were either completely wrong or useless? You know?
I second that. Yeah. So I think moving from a settled place called home to a place with 80 country, that in itself was very, initially I wasn't very comfortable about the idea of hostel, but I think the security, the other things that were just taken care of, and we could just, focus on our deadlines maybe, but that really was an immense experience. Meeting people who are here, smiling. I think 50% are here, 50% we coordinated over phone, but I would have never met them. So that is one thing, Amanji, that I really appreciate about being away from home and in a structure like this. Yeah, and we'll wait for the drinks, the second part. Yeah, thank you.
I thought we'll mix it up a bit. So can we have Sridhar if you're ready to go?
Hi. Hi, all. I actually was expecting that this was a session we'd be doing with the current students or something. So I don't. I was quite surprised to know now that we're talking to our own people, and I'm like, I don't have anything new to tell you. Like, most of you know everything. Like, so I don't know. I think I'll be saying quite boring stuff, but because it's all mostly known stuff. But okay. So after 2 years at APU, I came to APU as a very different person, and I changed a lot in APU, and I think I've changed a lot more since. But yeah, I came to APU as a engineering student, and with that kind of mindset, engineers are problem solvers, right? ये करना है, ऐसा करना है, ये ऐसा नहीं करना है. So we're not critical thinkers, we're not reflectors, we're problem solvers and stuff like that. I came with that mindset. Development is a problem to solve. That's right. So that's the mindset I came in, and APU tweaked a lot of things in my head, and I think I became a very different person. And my interests were completely into issues like sustainability, community resources, and community control and community managed resources. Like, that idea was firmly embedded in my head that unless local communities exercise their own control over those resources, there's no real point talking about, so local governance. Those kinds of issues were in my head. So I took up a job with in Madhya Pradesh in Devas district. It was a scheduled tribe dominated area called, I worked in an organization called Samaj Pragati Sahyog, and we worked on a number of things. I was involved with a farmer producer organization there. We started a company there called Ram Rahim Pragati Producer Company Limited. So it was all tribal farmers. So we did like market linkage. So if you are out buying for your daily produce, look for this brand called Safe Harvest. It's available all over Bangalore, and it's available in most other places. It's available online as well. It should be on Big Basket and all. So especially if you are buying your chana and atta and tuar dal from Safe Harvest, know that the effort to put that linkage and ensure that this is a permanent deal, know that some of my effort has also slightly gone into that. So those are so stuff like so that we did a lot of work on native seeds and generating a local functioning seed bank there. But I think one of my some of those things I was most proud of there was something called participatory groundwater management, PGWM, which we piloted there. So anyway, so the idea was resources, livelihoods based on those resources, and somehow it should be involved with those communities. So that was the idea with which I moved out of MP itself. I wanted to come back home. I wanted to come back to Tamil Nadu. I wanted to have similar water management kind of things to do in Tamil Nadu. I came from a privileged background. So, so it was not, I was not looking for, like, I didn't have financial constraints over me. My family was very well settled. So those are luxuries and privileges that I had. And like, I had to make use of that privilege. If you don't make that privilege count, then like, why the hell do you have that privilege at all? So I came to Tamil Nadu trying to do something related to water. But then it occurred to me कि यार 3 साल agri and groundwater ये सब तो देख लिया है. I did a course on coastal with John Kurian sir, and I was like, okay, I have to see some other resource. Let us do something on marine resources, coastal resources. That was like another thing I wanted to be associated with eventually. Like at the end of the life, if you see yourself and you see कि हाँ we have done work on that अच्छा लगता होगा. So I was like हाँ marine तो होना चाहिए मेरी life में. So I traveled on the 13 districts, coastal districts of Tamil Nadu, and I figured out one group in Nagapattinam with whom acha patti. So in 2017, I moved to Nagapattinam, and I've been working with them since. And briefly, for a bit, as Sheetal said, we are all benefactors of Azim Premji sir in more ways than one, more than just the 2 years. So in 2017, I got the Wipro Sustainability Fellowship also. Just say 2 saal aur bita paaye. Because without all that support, none of this would happen. So I'm thankful, grateful, though I don't think I met any of the objectives of that fellowship, because that fellowship is not at all meant for the kind of work that I am doing, that I was doing, and rightfully so. So, kuch renewal hua nahi. And subsequently, after my cohort, I think they changed the fellowship fully, entirely itself. Like, we don't want anything to do with rural livelihood. हम totally urban में चले जाएंगे. I was like, हाँ, मेरे को देख के ही किया होगा. I was like, हाँ, ठीक है. So the big shift after, so I'm continuing to work with fish workers. So I've realized over the years that control over resources cannot be completely a local, you cannot act only at local level for it. And there are far more powerful players that influence the extent of control that communities have over the resource. Hence, these are essentially political. Hence, so I have been working with basically trade unions, fish worker trade unions in their various rights-based campaigns, in their various so basically I work with so that is the National Fish Workers Forum, which is the because of the Kisan Andholan, all of you might have heard of Sanyukt Kisan Morcha or All India Kisan Sabha. The fishermen analog of that is the National Fish Workers Forum, the NFF. So there are state level unions which are affiliated to NFF. So I work with the Tamil Nadu Union. So I keep traveling the different coastal districts. And I also work with NFF at a national level. So whenever there is a need for national work, we do all that. So a lot of research, a lot of campaign kind of support, a lot of advocacy work. Yeah, that's what have been keeping me busy. And I see my life itself, I feel for the rest of my life, I see myself working in this area. So yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, okay.
No, I really don't have a question. I was just joking and saying, let's ask Sridhar, what is the meaning of life? I'm sure you'll have an answer.
I wish I had an abbreviation to give, like LIFE, but unfortunately I can't come up with something right now. Huh? Huh. Okay, so because I come from this background, I want to point out that let us not use the word fishy like this from now on. There is actually so there is actually a case people have put against the usage of the word fish market in newspaper reports. You cannot use the term fish market like this. Like, you know, I mean, why are you talking like sounds like a fish market? And this is something teachers keep doing, I think. So I hope that a lot of you take this to your classrooms. Let us not use the term fish market and fisher like that, right? It's let us proudly use it. हाँ. अरे अच्छा है, अच्छा है. दाग अच्छे हैं, दाग अच्छे हैं. Okay.
Thanks, Sridhar. Just a heads up for you, Sridhar, we have more of this in the afternoon with students. You have a question?
Yeah, I have a
Yes.
question. So, like, since you have done your course on coastal regions and you have been into the coastal regions, so what are the major differences you have found out between the theory and practice?
Okay. So the coastal livelihoods course in APU was handled by Professor John Kurian. So hence, it cannot be a completely theoretical course. John Kurian, along with others like Madam Nalini Nayak and Thomas Kocheri, these are some of the doyens of the coastal movement in India. John Kurian sir is one of the pioneers. He has played a very large role in the coastal movement, in not just in India but all over the world. So hence he is not someone who's purely an academic person. Definitely not. So I think the course itself was a very good course. But this is a very political terrain. Rights-based work is, it is, you will find people who will always find fault. वो रहता है. All terrains are like that. You cannot expect consensus. So I would say that on many issues, when I started my coastal work, it was John Kurian sir's ideas and views that shaped a lot of my impressions. And I think over the course of my interaction on the ground and also interaction with many other people involved in the movement, some of those ideas have changed. So there are, unka theory or hamara field ka experience mein there are differences. But overall, the course was a absolute super hit course because it was designed by such a person. Yeah. If anyone else had designed that course, it would not have been like this. So if you want to talk about mainstream fisheries ka agar if it was a course, there would have been no connection at all. Yeah.
Thanks, Sridhar. Just a heads up, in the afternoon we are talking to students. So, but that is on a little different format. We'll tell you more about it in a bit. Okay, so we'll have somebody from education now. Shiva, are you ready to go? Yeah. Sure. You have your friends saying a lot. I'm little hesitant to read Shiva's introduction because it may be longer than 5 minutes. So, Shiva, over to you.
Thank you. So mostly my sharing may be answering Aman sir's question. So thank you for all. Thank you for my teachers. So I came to APU like it's very strange reasons, like very strange. So I used to work in the Indian Air Force. So I didn't like my previous job. I had to leave that. But during that time, someone of my officer told that you are better to be a teacher, something like that. So something that got stuck. So how to be a teacher? I used to be a teacher before going to Air Force. Also, I taught few years. That's the time I applied for APF. So very kindly they said that, look, you don't have neither knowledge or not the skills. So we are starting an university. Please, why don't you join the university for the course? So that's how and I'm fully funded scholarship and like assistantship. All the benefits is given. So for me, the key question was the human problem, not the knowledge problem, because I want to be good with my friend, but end up being conflict. I want to be good with my wife, my colleague, but there are some of the other reasons. When we start journey, it's very nice, very happy moment, but on the way something goes wrong. So for me, that's the key question I've been troubling me since day one when I worked in Air Force or that. As a result, people, whatever, like many people, what's the higher aim we started, we leave that place, we leave that goal, many things are that. So that's the human problem I've been exploring. After the course, I joined Ajim Premji Foundation. So when I joined the foundation, I given the role called Education Leadership Team. I never ran a school. I never led any school. I never I don't know much about education leadership, but I am the person going to head teachers and teaching them how to run a school or what is the good education leadership, the perspectives of it. I think one of the comment in the in the tea car when we serve the tea break, I heard from one of the teacher, he's talking as if he know everything, or as he doing everything in his life. I think that's the moment it struck me that I'm taking money to share something what I read or what I know, or I'm really here to support the other in their life. I think that's for me, is a very transformational thing in my life. So that's how when I really decided to work on the area after working on myself a little bit. So, but in that journey, foundation has helped me a lot. I got very good bosses, very good friends to pursue my passion. So after the foundation, while working in the foundation, I could identify that what is the area I want to work for my lifelong. So that's how I left foundation and we started a group of faculty and friends. We started an organization. So right now I am working with I volunteer with UGC and AACT. So I teach 2 faculty development programs on universal human values. So that's my voluntary work. And most of my work is voluntary because no one gives money for their well-being or values, you say. So always what my teachers here transformed me, saying that when Amanji, I called him, I went to my first field work, I was so disturbed after seeing CFL because I never seen that kind of school, that kind of experience, that kind of joy in my schooling. I was really disturbed that a human, as a being, as a society, can't we deserve this kind of experience? So I was disturbed and I called Amanji. And that's the Dasara break. So we came like that. And Amanji came early morning by cycling to the university just to tell me, don't worry. So it happens and we'll see. For me, that's the memory. That's the memory shaped my identity. If I want to be a teacher, what a teacher means to me. And I have many examples with Indira, with Sailaja, with all my teachers, with Varda sir, and name it everyone. this shaped me what a teacher should be. I think with that aspiration, I went to field. I see a different picture. This gap, like when I went to an engineering college, they're saying that, look, we are here to teach the subject. We are not here to take care of the child's personal life or mentoring or that. So now the AICT started a program that faculty to be prepared to mentor the students. Now, how to prepare this faculty? That it's the faculty role, but somehow this is not been in the tradition. So that's what I'm in my small capacity. I've been working it. So I'm the part of the core group. Like now it's become a policy. When we started, it's become voluntary activity. Now it's become a policy in AICT, in all IITs and UGC colleges. It become a introductory course for every student to be there. Every faculty undergo this program. At least policy level, some contribution is there. So the struggle is being in this work is that you do what passionates to you, you work on that. At the same time, how you balance your family expectations. I got married, I have a child. So now family expects that you have some your own like standards in life. But when you are pursuing these things, who will pay? What is not being pursued value for the society? So that's the little bit challenging at the personal life, but it's been great, fulfilling journey. What I wish, sir, in APU we would have taught, that we realize that I know about many things, I'm not skilled yet. I'm yet to become good at doing that. I'm not yet. I'm choosing an organization to understand, to become more valuable to the other, not like I know and so others need to know. So this notion of expertise, that definition that if I am valuable to the other, that's the expertise mean. It's not knowing more, reading more. I think that I wish I go from here with that identity, than it taught me in many years from my experience what valuable. So that's been the journey. So thank you, sir. So any questions?
Just curious to know, because you said that the trigger for you to start working in this sector was also from your personal experience of having conflicts with your own people. I mean, your own, in the sense, your own interactions. So in the 7 years or 8 years, 10 years of your journey, has that relationship improved through your work?
So yes, thanks for that. It's one of the trigger, but that's been the thing, because I worked in wherever I work. When I leave organization, I'm leaving because not really about organization problem. I'm not liking that person. There is a conflict between you and me. I'm leaving that. That human problem, which is really is that, and also this knowledge that helps us to be calm and respond rather than react to situations. So that knowledge, someone we given to the spirituality, like spirituality will take care of it, or some knowledge is like it's aapka, the way you brought up, it's aapka sanskar hai. But we never said this is also important knowledge, the human thing, and that how I am talking to myself, how I am talking to other, and how we are working together as a group. I think these three elements, it's been in family and that. So what the change in me, what brought in this is that I have a difference of opinion, but relationship is more important than issue. Conflict will be dissolved today or tomorrow or next year or may not resolve, but relationship that's important. So with my wife, my relationship with my wife is better. Before the kind of mine is arranged marriage, it's completely different perspectives, different thing. If at all my marriage survived or that, in this attempt I realized that being together is more important than winning over, proving I am right. So that's the one thing. So many relationships got family addressed. At least my family is disappointed with me with my choices in life, not with me. So that at least that much I can say. So it doesn't mean that like I really worked on everything. I see I have my own issues. At least I am better than yesterday. That much is that, and I see there is a lot of issues, a lot of roadway.
I'm happy to see that you have generated your own insights. But just to give you a counterpoint, I think conflicts are very important in social change.
Yes, sir. No. Conflict is important, but how fair and quick I wish to resolve. That's the point.
Siva, one more question. I think you have been running this an early morning program, and is it still going? If you can just enlighten us on what's the stage or how is it evolving?
Yes. So I thanks, Bhakyas. So look, I'm doing many works. Still, like there is something. Na? Let me offer it something without expecting anything to society, the general society. That's how the thought was, not with any organization or that. That's how I started a program called TSTR, Transform Self and Transform Relationships. Anyone from the society from across the world can attend, morning 6:30 to 8. It's a week journey. That's how I started. There's no money, no anything. If you wish to work on yourself, there is something to share. So that's the thing. So it's been going on. Only like my like energy to give that was little slow down because of the other official commitments and that. But actually that taught me a lot. That program taught me a lot. When you selflessly start giving something, then there are many things like it comes to you. So that program taught me a lot. I'm doing that program. So every bi-monthly once I'm doing that. Thank you.
One second, I love. So Siva, sir, very beautiful words that you said. They have problem with choice of life choices, but not with me. So those are words that will live with me definitely. Yeah, we should.
My wife.
So conflict within family itself, we can talk. Conflict within family, you should not. So have there been instances where there have been conflicts and you have attempted to do something, but things have not happened exactly the way you wanted, but you found some way to preserve the relationship, and that conflict was on standby. But so it means they have taken some other decision that you don't like. Now, the impact of that decision may be coming on somebody else, on some third party. That is also an inner conflict for you. Like, how can I live with this? Can you give some example or how you deal with it yourself?
So my boss, my conflict with my boss and my colleague, who is a professor also. So I work with him. So I strongly believe, because of my training, the theoretical consistency, the clarity, conceptual clarity, what, why, that part, and its implications. And my colleague, my boss strongly believes that practice is more important. While you practice, then the questions will come, then the theory, then people get the need for the theory. Don't give too much theory, start with. Practice, reflection, then the theory part. Whenever we both sit for the designing a session, every time there's a conflict. Like in that 1.5 hours, how to treat what is the treatment of that session? Now, every time this conflict comes, there is a negative emotions inside that. Because I strongly believe something, now the other person strongly believes something, both are not going together. But what is helping me to ask the larger question is that why I want to work with him, why I want to do that work. If adding value to that student matters to me, then I'll add working with this person is complementary to my competencies. I don't have that competency what other has and that. Then is there any better way to negotiate, to talk, to more advocate my point and inquire why he's saying what he's saying. So it's been 4 years, still fight is going on, but the respect in that thing about each other is gone up, but both are changed our positions. Still there is a conflict. I'm not saying the conflict is not there, but the beauty is that we are together and we are able to do something well outside. So I think that time, the relationship, the feeling for the other person, and the larger purpose, I think this is helping me to see. Even with my wife, I'm a pure vegetarian, my wife is pure non-vegetarian. So what to cook at home when relatives come, what to feed to my son. Every moment there's a conflict. But few things is like how strongly I believe, that strongly she believes. So let it go is one thing I habituated. Second, then talk when it's required. Why I believe that. So, but still, it's a work in progress.
Thanks, Shiva. I think we'll have maybe an MA development student. Is Arif here? Yeah. So we have Arif, who is MA Development 2012-14, and he's a research scholar and pursuing his PhD. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. So after finishing I was always backbencher. So many of you maybe not knowing me because I was always, I coming from a vernacular background and rural background in APU. So I will come to learning what I learned in here later. First, I will share my experience while working. So when I started work, I started with right-based organizations. So I did MA in development. So it was internship or practice, mix of theory and practice. It was like everywhere it seems that it was helping. So like during immersion or internship itself, I was like sent to a community that was staying inside heartland of Araria in Bihar. So I was sent to for 30 days around in that environment. You don't have to sleep and don't have to proper and you have to eat them, you have to work with them, Manirega and others. So that experience, when we return, we were also despite coming from that background, we had reading, consumers of reading because of my family, even had that Kalarji and others, so religious books and literatures, Urdu especially, and Persian. So we have been reading, so like everywhere bookshelves. So even philosophies like Aristotle, we used to know Aristotle and Aflatun, like we used to, so it was not difficult, but language was a little bit difficult. So catching up was difficult here. So, but in the field when we went, so it helped, like it trained, it was MA development course was not only theoretical, but it trained me to not only what the organizations want, like report writing, like preparing or monitoring or evaluation, other kind of things. So this mixture of what we did in MA development, like we went to field and we returned, we wrote report, we researched in the field, and when we wrote, so it means that made us like it is not very new while working. So it became like, despite going to first time in the development domain, so it was very means usual, like we have learned that how to write, how to read, and how to be on time, especially that I learned from Seema. So I was in her group several times, so she was always used to be before the schedule. So always submitted. So that kind of means how to be on time, how to manage everything. So that helped a lot. So these kind of things means really work in the field. But there was, if you are concerned, means you're not only yourself, but fellow human beings, then you have to be, means you have to, somewhere there will be contradiction of self-livelihood and livelihood of others, means people, if you are working on, and life of others. So that some kinds, if it came, I won't say that it came during APU, but it came, some kind of a spark you should have, and then that it will, APU inflamed that you have to be, means committed, not committed, you have to be care yourself and others also. So that means that was new experience, 3-4 teachers coming to teaching together in APU initially. And sometimes we used to have, means 4-5 students in electives and 4-5 student teachers together. So that was like, you have to be, means follow everything. So I was always running behind the schedule, means reading, writing. So courses were, means it was mix of that. So we don't feel, the only thing was we didn't learn any tools or techniques that was missing in that practical, means we have to, if data, we are going to analyze data, so data-based tools and techniques, so that was missing. So means, but there are many holes. The what contradiction came while working was, there are many holes in the roof. So you have to prioritize which hole you have to fill. Means you cannot fill all the holes together. So how you are going to fill? So that question one day, while working in the field, I asked one mason. So there are, means how you will, means fill those, means together we can not fill, we don't have resources. So how can we fill only one, so that others, means at least get, means they get some relief. So he said, I can do confidently. So he said that I will use some techniques. So it will not, means water will continue to come inside from all holes, but he will have some space to, means, and that will trickle down, help them to means fill other gaps. So means other holes. So that really means help, means we can't do everything, but whatever we are doing, we have to concentrate, because when we work with organizations, we take one thing like livelihood, if we are doing education, we are doing. So we can't, means, but community demands, like if you are working, they will ask that how, means if pandemic has affected their livelihood, means how they can be, means only concerned with the education, they are not eating. So that kind of balance making still, means that is constant struggle in the field. So that was very, means difficult to handle those, means aspiration of communities, and your balance between both, means which hole you are going to fill. So that continues. After that, I decided organically to, there are many things unknowns. So we have to pursue research degree, and we do, and searching means to good institutions, with, means we have also to take care of livelihoods with fellowships, and that was difficult, but got, and there we found that and within 4 years, last 4 years, I'm doing PhD on something like, I'm looking at Eastern India, means in different, they're under development from different perspective, environmental perspective, post-colonial and colonial discourses surrounding underdevelopment of those regions. Means, so that means sometimes finding people. So we went Indian university, there are many good people, but there it seems like there are mediocrity trap, means entering everywhere. Means people are, means I'm a faculty, if I am not means committed if I am not professional, then means my student will be like same like me. And again that he will become teacher or faculty, again that kind of means he will again, means that means trap is there in education system, in higher education, or even means maybe secondary, primary education. That mediocrity trap somewhere means there are good people, no doubt, everywhere, but we have to identify people where, and the topic should means while should come from within, means it should not be from outside, somebody given something like looking good, so it means come, so then we will be able to work like means from self, means with enthusiasm, something is coming from inside. Okay, thank you. Any questions? That was anyone? Yeah.
You said a lot about conflicts. So, what kind of conflicts were there in your mind when you?
Conflicts are everywhere. Means there are conflicts in terms of means with self. See, it is means we did development, in development studies. So this course was not something like management, and we have to means balance with means social, means others' aspiration and self aspiration. So we cannot. There is saturation in the field. So that conflict will come. Like I will not go if I am getting married and I have family. I have to means my living cost is something like 1 lakh rupees. But I in development or means education, there is saturation. So that conflict you have to overcome. Means you have to something lose or something do. No, I'm not married. Thank you. Okay, any questions more? I don't think everything will badal jayega suddenly. It will change slowly. So that is my learning.
There are some really good messages coming up, right? Can you hear me? Okay. So we should note down, Riddhi, where is that? One best message per person. I only remember actually his message in the last one. So his was, you cannot fill all the holes. So prioritize which holes to fill and which holes to ignore. That's a very important lesson in life. Huh? The previous one I remember, I wish I had remembered the first two also. The previous one was, what is that? Relationship is more important than conflicts. Conflicts will always be there. So even after you get married, there will be conflicts. But now you know that relationship is more important. Okay? So like this, there's some wonderful messages coming up.
We have Giri who's joined us. Would you like to say a few words? Right from there, without coming here. So after the session, maybe towards the end. Yeah. Okay. So shall we have Purva now? Purva's all set, I think. Yeah. While Purva gets, I think she has a presentation in mind. And Purva is from the MA Education 2012-14 batch and works with Sparkling Minds Global School, right? And does curriculum design for game-based learning. That sounds very, very exciting. So over to you, Purva.
That is just wordplay. In the morning, I was thinking, I found this t-shirt and it's a little tight, so things have changed. But it fits, so they have not changed that much also. So I actually, when I was thinking about it, it was really nice, actually, first of all, to invite people to talk, because it gave me a chance to think about the journey of 10 years. And when I was thinking, I had 3 areas that I wanted to share where I think I have worked and contributed and learned. So the first area is literacy. Of course, as soon as I left the university, a lot of my work, actually all of my work is in the field of literacy. And one of the big things that really moved or really changed the way I'm doing things is the comprehensive literacy model. And I remember that Shelja had told us in class that, you know, it's not either or, like it's not only top down or only bottom up, it's not only phonics, only, so when I went outside after university to schools, I could see that, okay, they're only doing top down, okay, they're completely rejecting it. And sometimes I would feel like completely rejecting it. But I was able to hold on to that anchor that both are necessary. And I'd done some work on trying to implement this in schools. So how do you have phonics work along with whole reading, whole language work? So introducing things like doing the running records or even read alouds in schools, but doing read aloud in a as a pedagogic tool, like not as a someday it's some fun thing and the librarian does it or the teacher does it because teacher is absent, or it's mostly like I was working in a school in Tamil Nadu when I had just left. It was called Akshara Vidyashram, and the approach was like that. So working with that and writing, done a lot of work with writing, children's writing, seeing writing as a process. There is this idea that writing is a talent. You know, some children write, some children don't write, and it's only a creative kind of expressive thing. But to see writing as part of literacy, enabling that every child can write and should learn how to write, and the whole focus of a lot of schools is just the handwriting. You know, but what about the structuring that? So did work on that. And then the other thing that really has helped me and constitutes my work is looking at reading and writing separate from English. It's not just in English. There can be reading and writing happening in Hindi. There's the same model. The literacy in any language will work like that. So now the school that I work in, developing a language, like how should language be, any language be taught? So how should Hindi also be taught using a literacy framework? How should English also be taught? How should Spanish also be taught like that? This is one. The other thing that has really stayed with me and I've done work in after leaving the university is with children's literature. And I had some kind of attraction towards it, that children's literature, it's nice, it makes you feel a certain way. But I was able to see it as something that is very important in the language classroom, and how do you really use it as a tool. So lot of work with children's literature, like even to the extent of building like a bridge program for schools where children from KG going to 1, and how should the library work, or what kind of books should the library have to enable them to read and to write. And I also started writing myself for children. I've written 2 books so far, one in English, published by Tulika, one in Hindi, published by Room to Read, and 2 more are on the way. They're going to be published by Children's Book Trust. But the main thing is not that the book is written, but the way that it was written. Like, I would have probably written it as a hobby, but when I'm now writing it, or I'm writing more drafts, I think of that as my work as an educator, because I don't think this book in a bookstore. I think this book in a library, in a classroom. How is it going to be read aloud? And what kind of things can the teacher ask? Where will she pause? What kind of, is this picture matching something? And will the teacher be able to pick it? So I'm thinking about those things when writing for children. And the other thing that has really shifted for me, at least from, what we studied in school or we see in schools, is language and literature working separately. Even when I was in school, we used to have an English language and an English literature completely separately, as if there's no grammar in a story. So now in the school that I work in, we do language embedded in the literature, so that the literature, the stories, the poems, whatever the children are reading, they are the tools to do language, and the language work that they do is the skill for them to create good literature. And when I was kind of thinking about it last night, it sounded very simple and sounded very logical. Yes, obviously it's like this, why am I talking about it? But it's not seen like that in schools. It is seen as, we do literature, we learn this, we learn Shakespeare, we learn this, and we do language separately. We are not linking this in school. So in the current school, we link it. We do literature language together. This is just some examples. The other thing that really helped me from APO is to be able to see children's context. So in the very first school that I worked at, they wanted to do an integrated curriculum, and they wanted to have what is the kind of, they didn't want to have a textbook. So what is the kind of, but they need some material, some content. What is the kind of material that will help us deliver these goals? And they wanted it like a narrative shaped. But at the same time, if we read something, like an Enid Blyton eating some macarons in some place, the kids have never seen it, what it looks like or what it tastes like. So it needs to have words from their life that really stayed with me and stays with me now also. So using their words, their context, their sites to develop that material which they're then going to use in classroom to meet any subject goals, like they can learn math through it. So that work, and then we did work with where children have written stuff, and then that's in the school library for the other children to read. So they're creating literature also. There's just some pictures I put of my books. And the other area of work has been curriculum development. And in this, I think what really stays with me is starting from the aim, like what do we want, going all the way to assessment, and then seeing it as a closed loop, which also I feel like it doesn't really happen. Like even in the current school, it's like year on year. So it's like, from year to year. Then you repeat from year to year. But I think somehow after the course, even years later after working, I was able to see it like closed like this. So you have an assessment, you have something, and that has to feed into the next year's curriculum design. Like it has to shift something, it has to shift the way you're doing something or the way you're evaluating something. So that, and the big other thing is work on hidden curriculum, that when we are teaching things like what Shiva was also saying, we're not just giving the knowledge, not just giving the content. What is it communicating to the child about what the child can do, what the child can't do? Can the child think mathematically? Can the child write? So I have been interested in how can that be embedded in the curriculum itself? Like can it be in the material itself in a way, or in the book itself in a way that the teacher can't miss it? It's not dependent on a classroom dynamic completely, or on a teacher's say state of awareness or state of readiness completely. So that is something I try to do currently in the school also. I develop curriculum and materials. We develop our own materials. This is for IGCSE from grade 1 to grade 10. So I kind of keep struggling with this question. The last thing that happened to me just about 2 years back is seeing game design. This school that I work in, they do game-based learning, and initially when I saw it, I was very skeptical because I thought game as in, it's just a carrot and stick, and it's just a fancy way of manipulating children into doing something. But I'm starting to see that how a game can be designed as a system. So in the game, there are certain goals, which are the curricular framework, which get embedded as the game goals. The learning goals become the game goals. And what you do in the game to move forward, like in football, if you want the child to learn kicking, they have to kick to be able to win the game. So if you want the child to win the game, they have to do the reading or the writing. The game movement is based on the skills or the verbs that you want the child to learn. And the thing that currently I'm trying to work on, or we are trying to work on, is how do you make the feedback very immediate? So if you get immediate feedback, then it kind of can close the loop of how then what should change, what about the child should change, what about the movement should change, for it to completely close in that sense. And the last thing about game that I saw is that the child gets to be a very active agent in the way that the child is moving and constantly stay in their proximal zone of development. These are things that we're trying to do. These are not yet online games. They're still physical games that are played in the physical classroom with like a board. So that's the work. And I do curriculum work for languages, global perspectives, and even for performance and expressive arts. A lot of the things that we read in POE on aesthetics and ethics in education helped me to think about this. The last area is what I was very conflicted, but also very excited to talk about, and I think that it must be said um, because when we are doing a course like the MA education, we are not coming here to only get certain competencies, and we are wanting for the person to be able to apply it in their life as a whole person. And for me, that has been one very big area of impact. The fact that, in the middle of the program, I was going through a tough time in a way that I couldn't even have finished the course. Like, it looked like I won't finish the course, and we spoke to Padma and we spoke to Giri, and they said, no, but you stay, you do the course, whatever it takes. And over the years, there are some things from the course itself that have helped me live independently with my 2 children now. One is that I think what the course really gave me is after the course, is an identity as a professional. I didn't go out and think that I'm working as a teacher as purely out of sentiment or purely out of a passion. I felt like I have some necessary concept, theoretical knowledge, I have some practical exposure, maybe not skills, but exposure. I have some frameworks based on which I'm thinking, and that made me feel very assured and what do I say, kind of stay. It made me stay. It didn't feel like, oh, today it's feeling really bad, so then I don't want to do it, and then tomorrow I'll feel very good, and then I'll do it. It didn't, that whole thing was not there, which was there before the course. It was all very sentiment driven. So that was one thing. The second thing was to see teaching as a reflective practice. That idea came to me. I used to get very stuck. I used to either be like, you just do practical, or I just get completely analysis paralysis. Like, I would just completely step back and I say, hey, there are so many things happening in the classroom and there are so many things that can go wrong. I think the best thing to do is that I shouldn't do anything at all. I should just freeze. I should just stay, because what if I say something wrong? What if I give a wrong idea? What if I, that way? So it would be these two polar opposites. But after the university, I wouldn't say immediately, but say 2 years after, 3 years after, keeping on staying with those ideas, I feel like I'm finally able to reach a place where I'm able to do and think, do and think, do and think. And the gap between the doing and thinking is reducing. Like, as I'm doing, I'm able to think about what I'm doing. As I'm thinking, I'm able to see, okay, if I'm thinking this is what I'll do. That gap is kind of reducing. That is also one of my challenges, that sometimes I still struggle between the zooming in and the zooming out. And the other big thing that happened to me is that I saw my education in a whole different way. And I saw my school years, my college years, and I saw the hidden curriculum in that. And I saw how that has shaped me. And I was able to see it, able to negotiate with it. And what really helped me there is this one reading that Aman sir had shared with us called Sociological Imagination. And I feel like because of all the work in APU, I was able to use sociological imagination, philosophical imagination, different kinds of imagination to make sense of my own life and grapple with things that would otherwise have been a mental disorder or a purely like psychological, but I always had a sense that there is something philosophical to it also. It's not just purely, like, it's not like my brain is whoosh. There is something else. And the course and not just the readings, but the being here, at that time I didn't see it. But slowly after leaving, after the years, as I kept thinking, as I kept reflecting, I feel like it has really enabled me to use these things to really make meaning of my own life. And the last piece in my lived reality that is as a parent. I have 2 children now, 7 and 4, and I'm able to see them as children in context. They have a context. They have various areas of growth. They have things like sometimes I'm able to name it. Sometimes I do fun things like do addition tasks and such with them. I always knew it that when we were studying it, I had said that when I have children, I'll do it with them. I did it, but anyway, but jokes apart, I'm able to see and make sense of things. Name it, like I'm able to see what might be scaffolding for them. What are they doing? If they're not, if they scribble, I'm able to see it as a trace of okay, this is the early writing happening, and it just makes the whole relationship. I feel like it shifts the power dynamics in the relationship that I have with them as a mother. So that's there. But I remember that Shelja had said once in the class that I had theories of child development, and now I have 2 children and no theories. And that is literally true of me now. This is all I wanted to share. Any questions?
Hi. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you're doing. It's very evident that there's a lot of passion and a lot of reflective growth that's happening even as you do it. So it's really beautiful to listen to it. I have 2 questions. One of it is slightly personal probably, but what is your experience of seeing a child actually engage with the stories that you've written? If you are able to think of any memory of maybe the first time that you saw a child hold a published book, what that was like. And the second question related is, you said that when you write your literature, you're guided by a certain structure of what you want it to be in a classroom. And does that come in the way of your creative expression or your natural flow of writing?
Yeah, okay, so the very first question, I haven't seen a lot of children engage with my books. It's not like I'm some big author or something, 2 books. But I've seen it once. It's when I myself had done an interaction of the book with the children. And when I had written the book, there's a certain question that I want the child to ask. And when the child asks it, that's so, it's just so amazing, that moment, because the fact that you've been able to, without being pedantic, without being all preachy, you should think about it, without doing any of that, and without, you've been able to, I don't know, the feeling is like I've been able to, it's like I've been able to leave a star somewhere which somebody has kind of seen, and, it will guide them. So that when the child asks that question, that feeling is really amazing. That much I can share. The second one is that, is it a hindrance? So far, I haven't really found it to be a hindrance. I think also because the way that the creative flow happens is different. Because I feel like I find an idea, like the first book I wrote is what makes me me. And I felt like, children should have various ways in which they're thinking about their identity. They should not just be, oh, I'm a math boy, oh, I'm a footballer, oh, I'm a very narrow way of defining their identity. Oh, I'm a foodie, oh, I love rasgulla. And then tomorrow you stop loving rasgulla, then who are you? So I felt like children should ask that. And that's the idea. So the creativity is kind of become linked to that. It's not like I think of the idea and then I'm like, okay, idea is here, and then, oh, now how to creatively say it. It so far hasn't happened like that, but if it happens, I'll be aware. The other thing is that also, since I've been able to see writing as a process, this is something that started for me a little bit before the course with my BA. I don't get stuck. Like, I'm not stuck with my identity as oh, I'm a creative flow person. It either comes or it doesn't come, because I feel like I can understand the process. And there are certain ways to think about it, so I can diverge with it. And then I can just play around with it. So that helps.
Thanks, Purva. I think it was quite reflective, as Ankita was also saying.
I had one question. Maybe you can just share your thoughts on it. So we can see that post university, you have done a lot of reflection in terms of not just on your learning, but also on your own journey in terms of how you're growing and all, right? So if you can also share what kind of a support system or what kind of environment actually really helped you do that, to really be able to really reflect and on a journey, and also as an individual professional who is trying to work on it. So what kind of structures, systems or environment really helped you do that? Oh yes.
I think one thing that helped me is that when we were in the university itself, your life was not separate from what you were reading. Like I remember one time Indra ma'am used a poem of mine in class. I remember that we could talk to Aman sir if we are doing something in sociology, and I could talk about my family in that light as a sociological problem. So I could always bring issues of, it was connected always. So the course, first of all, started that possibility that it doesn't have to be separate. It doesn't have to be theory mein kuch kar rahe ho, life mein ho raha hai, kind of, you know. That started, and I don't think there was an environment that really enabled it. Unfortunately, I had to really push, and I probably took maybe like 3-4 years extra doing it. If I had an environment, it might have gone faster. But from the university wise, what helped me is I had internalized these voices. So I have a Aman voice, Shelja voice, Indra voice, Giri voice, you know, in my head. So I can play a conversation when I'm doing reading. So that helps, but environment-wise, didn't really. The other thing is reflecting on what Aman sir said, not useless, but I feel like when I was in the university, I didn't have enough experience, exposure to the context that we were discussing. We had the practicum, but the practicum was kind of very structured and became a little limited to peg things on. So what happened is, after I went, after 1 year, after 2 years, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is what we were kind of talking about. But then that reading is not very fresh in my head then. So I have to kind of go back and read. And then is there that much time to do it? I didn't have enough things to peg it on at that point. But I don't know if this is something, I mean, it's also because I came directly after a bachelor's. So I don't know if I answered your question.
I think that's useful. At least one thing I heard is that the space that was provided during the 2 years probably help you see those possibilities, and probably more such spaces, if they're available for students, I think that would be useful, right?
Yes, more dialogue forums where you could really have this, you know, like what Shiva was saying, that there is this belief ki haan, theory hai, but then practice mein kuch hota hai. There is really so much of belief about this separation. So if there are more spaces where you can really discuss a theory in application to your life, it will really help, I think.
Purva, one thing that intrigues me is your journey as a parent. I mean, I think you very reflective, and so is it possible to be a reflective parent? I mean, where is objectivity there? Is it possible?
Where is the?
Because can you be reflective and objective and zoom out and zoom in? And do you have that luxury? Or is it possible at all?
Yeah, I can. For me, the question is not can I do it, but how fast can I do it? Like if today something happened, then sometimes I can see that in a different context. I can see it as the child's, probably I'm at some need, like I'm at, you know, that Erik Erikson's different conflicts that are there in different stages. And I feel like, oh, I'm at this stage and my primary need is self something, and the child's primary need is this, and that kind of clashed. Now, can I see it after 5 minutes? Can I see it after 20 minutes? Can I see it after 2 days? Like sometimes I've been able to see it after 3 months. So the thing is not can you be reflective, but how
timely,
how soon can you be, and then what do you do with that reflection? At some point, the primary emotion with all that reflection was guilt. Like, oh, this is, but then that context, but then this, but that, you know, trying to orchestrate this like very perfect MA had designed childhood for my children, and I said, no, that's also, I can't do that, because they have a right. Then there was another reading, they also have a right to experience their life in their ways, and there was one on that Lillian Katz on self-esteem and self-concept, and then I was like, if I kind of orchestrate everything, then where is that going to organically happen? So yeah, it can be fun, actually. I mean, for me, it's been fun. You're not like all bound up by that like traditional identity of a mother. Oh, I'm a mother now. And that's
You're fortunate, because I wasn't fortunate. The course came after I had done all the damage.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you.
For some time we were debating whether we'd have a kind of a mock class. I think Purva's brought it all back. So that is nice. And and the assignment. Sans the assignment, yes. I think that you're relieved for. Shall we have Shailesh now? Yeah, come. Shailesh is Pratibim Foundation, and Pratibim Foundation is Shailesh. So he will tell us more about that. The organization is working on quality education and youth development in Mirzapur, UP. The thing about Shailesh is that every day I get a message from him and it makes me feel good. I don't know whether it's the same Shailesh, because he's like, is it me? But something or the other happening, and lots of great communication from people who have been part of his foundation, festivals, yes, and so much more. So I do feel very connected, and he will tell us more. Yeah, over to you.
थैंक यू पद्मा मैम. थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ यू एडवांस में. थोड़ा हिंदी में बात करेंगे, आई होप चलेगा. जिसको हिंदी समझ में नहीं आता उसके लिए इंग्लिश में ट्रांसलेट ऑब्वियसली नहीं करूँगा, बगल वाले से पूछ लेना आप, वो लोग मदद कर देंगे. तो जर्नी को मैं दो पार्ट में शेयर करता हूँ. वन इज़ लाइक व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड APU, जब यहाँ पे मैं आया हूँ इन 2011, शायद 22 जुलाई का दिन था, पहली बार आया हूँ. 550 रुपये का टिकट कराया ट्रेन का घर से. मिर्ज़ापुर का रहने वाला हूँ, मतलब पास में इलाहाबाद है, वहाँ पर भी घर है, तो कभी यहाँ और वहाँ रहते हैं. सो 550 रुपये का मैंने टिकट कराया. यहाँ पहुँच गया रात के 9:30 बजे के आसपास. एक ट्रेन आती है, बाहर निकला, ऑटो लिया, बोला कितना लोगे भैया? बोला 600 रुपये लेंगे. हमने कहा 550 रुपये में 2 दिन का सफ़र पूरा किया, अभी ये आधे घंटे के लिए 600 रुपये मांग रहा है. समझ में आ गया बहुत एक्सपेंसिव सिटी है, संभल के रहना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि घर से ज़्यादा पैसे तो मिलने वाले नहीं थे. फॉर्चुनेटली एज शिवा टोल्ड कि स्कॉलरशिप मिल गया, असिस्टेंटशिप मिल गया. तो एक तो मैं फाउंडेशन में ऑलरेडी वर्क कर रहा था, अजीम प्रेम जी फाउंडेशन में, उत्तराखंड टीम. तो आई हैड सम प्रिविलेज ऑल्सो टू बी एज आई थिंक वन ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट स्टूडेंट ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटी. फिर वहाँ से यहाँ पे आ गया और नेक्स्ट डे लोगों से गेट टुगेदर हुआ, मिलना हुआ. उसके बाद लेके चले गए शिमोगा, चलना है वहाँ पे, सब लोग मिंगल हो जाएंगे. वहाँ गया तो देखा देयर इज अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ स्टूडेंट पीपल. समझ में नहीं आ रहा था. ये अंकिता, श्वेता जैसे लोग भी थे, रहमान भाई थे, और कृणाल भाई भी जैसे लोग थे. शिवा पहले दिन मिलते, आर यू शैलेश? हमने कहा तुम्हें क्या प्रॉब्लम है भाई, तुम क्यों पूछ रहे हो? तो बोला नहीं वो somebody is asking for you. हमका अच्छा इतना लोग जान गए. तो वहाँ पे गया शिमोगा में, कुछ खाना खिलाया. फॉर अस बिलोंग टू अ स्मॉल टाउन, कभी इतने बड़े शहर में नहीं निकले थे, तो डिफिकल्ट ये था कि बहुत सी चीज़ नया देखने को मिल रहा था. खाना खाने के लिए भी नए नए आइटम थे, समझ में नहीं आ रहा था खाना है तो इससे काम चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा. देन वी गॉट टू नो कि नहीं, आपको एक मैप मिलेगा, वो मैप लेके जाना और ऐसा कुछ क्या बोलते हैं उसको, सर्च करके वहाँ पे पहुँचना है शाम में, और मैगी खाना है बना के, कुकिंग करके. तुमने का पूरे दिन घूमेंगे तो भूख लगेगी, कुछ खाने को दो. बोले यस डोंट वरी वी विल हैव समथिंग फॉर द लंच. हमने कहा क्या है? तो उन्होंने बोला 2 केला मिलेगा और 2 कैरेट मिलेगा, गाजर. का बहुत बढ़िया. जब उन्होंने दिया केला तो द केला साइज वॉज लाइक दिस. अभी मैं, एंड द कैरेट वॉज ऑल्सो द सेम साइज. तो आई वॉज वंडरिंग ये केला है या केली है, और इतने में होगा क्या, पूरे दिन घूमना है. ये मैं इसलिए शेयर कर रहा हूं बिकॉज व्हेन आई ज्वाइंड APU, बिफोर दैट आई वॉज लाइक अ ये बिल्कुल जैसे यूपी के वो स्मॉल सिटी के बच्चे होते हैं ना, एंग्री यंग मैन जैसा लड़का एक आया और मैंने सोचा था बहुत कुछ होगा, सडनली विद इन 2 years एवरीथिंग गॉट चेंज. अभी समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कि क्या हो रहा है. आया तो बहुत टशन में था, गया तो मतलब देयर इज नो वैल्यू. समबडी फ्रॉम द सेकंड बैच व्हेन शी जॉइंड इन 2012, उसने तो मुझे डांट भी दिया, नाम तो याद नहीं है. हमने कहा ये क्या हो रहा है, मेरा तो मतलब समझ में नहीं आ रहा, इमेज बन रहा है या खराब हो रहा है, कैसे जाना है. And then academic challenges जो थे, that was also one of the major issues for me. First semester में 2 महीने ये समझने में लगा कि अभी participate कैसे करना है क्लास में. Something is going on. शैलजा कुछ explain कर रही है and रोहित सर कुछ बात कर रहे हैं, अमन सर is also doing something. मैंने सोचा अच्छा ठीक है, अभी मैं पूरा माइंड मेकअप करूंगा, क्वेश्चन बनाऊंगा और अब की बार तो मैं पक्का क्वेश्चन पूछ ही लूंगा. और जब तक मैंने ये सोचा, दिमाग में फ्रेम किया, ट्रांसलेट किया हिंदी टू इंग्लिश, वो टॉपिक ही साला चला गया. अभी मुझे समझ में नहीं आप क्या करना है. फिर अविनाश भाई को पकड़ा, हमने कहा भाई थोड़ा हेल्प कर दो, तो थोड़ा हेल्प किया. फिर उसके बाद थोड़ा लोगों के साथ बॉन्डिंग हो गया. इसी बीच में क्या हुआ, वो संदेश और कुछ लोग गए, बोले चलो पार्टी करने के लिए चलते हैं. तो फर्स्ट टाइम आई वेंट टू चंदना और मैंने कभी ऐसा पार्टी देखा नहीं था. वो क्या टकीला और वो सब पीना था. तो मतलब मैं तो जिस फैमिली में रहता हूँ वहाँ पे ये सब था नहीं. सो वी वो 4 people एंड वी विजिटेड चंदना. 2 घंटे पार्टी किया, कुछ 22,000 का बिल आया. आई टेल यू फ्रेंकली 22,000 का बिल मैंने पूरे लाइफ में नहीं देखा था किसी पार्टी का. हम लोग 10-12 फ्रेंड्स जाते हैं, 1,000-1,500 रुपए में काम चल जाता है, पार्टी पूरा हो जाता है. तो क्या हुआ, दे डिवाइडेड 4 people, 5,000 समथिंग यू हैव टू पे. हमने कहा के लिए, बोला यार पार्टी किया ना. हमने कहा 15 रुपए का कोल्ड ड्रिंक लिया, जीएसटी मिलाओ 20 रुपए देता हूँ, इससे ज्यादा 1 रुपए नहीं दूंगा. अगली बार से पार्टी में ले जाना बंद कर दिया. बोला नहीं तुम्हें नहीं ले जाना, तुम पीते भी नहीं हो, खाते भी नहीं हो कुछ. सो दिस वॉज समथिंग. उसके बाद एकेडमिक्स ऑब्वियसली बहुत चैलेंजिंग था. एक तो ये चैलेंज था कि कभी हमने लिखा ही नहीं था इतना जितना लिखवाया एपीयू ने. रोहित सर ने बोला 5,000 वर्ड्स का असाइनमेंट लिखना है. हमने कहा मैं तो आधा पेज भी नहीं लिखा. एंड लिटरली आई टेल यू, फर्स्ट असाइनमेंट 500 वर्ड्स का था, उन्होंने लिखा और मैंने सबमिट कर दिया. वो आई थिंक प्लेटो का कुछ था, रीडिंग करने के बाद उसके ऊपर लिखना था. मैंने सबमिट कर दिया. 20 दिन के बाद रोहित सर ने कमेंट लिया, कुछ तो 1.5 पेज लिखा था उनका फीडबैक और मेरा तो आधा पेज ही था. आई वॉज वॉन्डिंग अब क्या करना, बट नीचे बोल्ड में लिखा, मैं बोला लिखा था, शैलेश आई डोंट नो व्हाट टू डू विद दिस असाइनमेंट, इट सीम्स यू हैव कॉपी एंड पेस्टेड, प्लीज कम एंड मीट मी. तो मैं गया उनके पास, बोले शैलेश ये तुमने क्या किया. हमने कुछ नहीं सर, ये लिखा मैंने. बोले कहाँ से लिखा. हमने कहा वो लिखा था पेपर में, प्लेटो ने बोला. बोला वो तो प्लेटो ने बोला, दैट आई नो, बट तुमने क्या समझा. हमने कहा सर बचपन से यही सिखाया गया था कि जो पढ़ाया गया वही लिखना है, तभी नंबर मिलेगा. मेरी गलती नहीं है, एजुकेशन सिस्टम की प्रॉब्लम है, मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता इसमें. तो बोले अभी क्या करना है. तुमने कहा सर मैं तो जॉब कर रहा था एपीएफ, अच्छा पैसा भी मिल रहा था, छोड़ के आया, आप बताओ रहूं या जाऊं. तो बोले नहीं रुको रुको, अभी तुम रुको, कुछ करेंगे हम लोग. उसके बाद 2-3 महीने में थोड़ा पॉजिटिव हुआ. फर्स्ट बैच में लोग जो है सपोर्ट करने लगे, नोमिता मैम, हरीन, रीना, कल्पना, सब लोग सपोर्ट करना शुरू कर दिए. सडनली शैलजा मैम ने बोला असाइनमेंट को 150 वर्ड में लिखो. हमने कहा ये और प्रॉब्लम है. कोई बोला 5,000 में लिखो, अभी बोले 150 वर्ड में असाइनमेंट लिख दो. तो पहले तो वो इतना लंबा लिखा है, अभी छोटा लिखने में प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी. सो दीज वर द बेसिक चैलेंजेस. और वो मेरे साथ नहीं था, जितने नॉर्थ इंडिया से आए थे, खास करके स्मॉल टाउन के ना, एक लैंग्वेज का इशू था. और मैंने वहाँ बोलने के लिए बहुत मेहनत किया, स्पोकन इंग्लिश पे सीखा. लिखने की बड़ी प्रॉब्लम थी मेरी, तो मैं थोड़ा डिस्टर्ब था. तो वर्धा सर आई थिंक इज हियर, तो उन्होंने बोला कि शैलेश कोई बात नहीं, डोंट वरी, यू कम टू मी, आई हेल्प यू. गया मैं उनके पास, तो अंग्रेजी में बात कर रहा था सर से. बोले यू आई स्पीकिंग वेरी गुड इंग्लिश, आई डोंट थिंक सो दैट यू हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम. हम कहा सर अभी राइटिंग भी तो देखो, बोलना तो हमने सीखा था क्योंकि कंपल्सरी था उधर. तो ये कुछ चैलेंजेस थे, बट द बेस्ट पार्ट फ्रॉम द एपीयू दैट द काइंड ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस आई हैव टुडे नाउ. आई टेल यू कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ. आई कैन ओपन द ठेला, गोलगप्पे भी बेच सकता हूँ मैं. आई कैन रन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, आई कैन वर्क विद द डिफरेंट कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर, कोचिंग भी कर सकते हैं, सब कुछ कर सकते हैं. एंड दिस इज व्हाट समथिंग आई फील दैट नाउ आई कैन सर्वाइव वेरी इजिली. इतना प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, मतलब चैलेंज है, बट आई कैन डील विद दैट. एंड दैट इज जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द एपीयू एंड प्रोफेसर एंड और द पार्टनर्स और जितने भी दोस्त हैं. तो वो एक बहुत अच्छा था. तो इस तरह से पूरा जर्नी हुआ. बीच में क्रिकेट का भी था कुछ, तो है ना, फैकल्टी और अपने बीच में हूटिंग कर रहा था, तो बहुत डांट भी मिला है ना सर, ये इतना चिल्लाता है ये. और संतोष, पंकज, अभी दोनों लोग आए नहीं आज, है ना, शिवा भाई भी थे. इसके बाद वापस में गया तो आई स्टार्टेड माय जर्नी विद द भारती फाउंडेशन. उसके पहले ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के था बट आई गॉट अ गुड सैलरी एंड देन आई स्टार्टेड ओवर देयर. बट जब मैं एपीयू में था तभी आई डिसाइडेड विद पंकज, धीरज एंड संतोष भाई, कुछ लोगों के साथ मिलके हम लोगों ने, इवन कृणाल भाई के साथ भी डिस्कस किया था. वी स्टार्टेड दैट प्रतिम फाउंडेशन. तो रजिस्टर्ड कर लिया था बट प्रॉब्लम ये थी कि मुझे बड़ी अच्छी अच्छी जॉब मिलती गई एंड आई वाज गेटिंग वेरी गुड सैलरी. तो हम क्या छोटे शहर से आते हैं तो हमें लाख रुपए सैलरी मिलता है, 1.25 लाख रुपए बहुत बड़ा होता है क्योंकि सारे ड्रीम और नीड होते हैं फुलफिल होते हैं. तो फॉर्चुनेटली आई गॉट अ वेरी गुड पोजीशन एंड ऑल्सो वेरी गुड सैलरी. तो मैं ये डिसाइड ही नहीं कर पा रहा था और मे बी आई कुड नॉट डेयर टू लीव दिस जॉब एंड स्टार्ट माई ओन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और मे बी थिंक अबाउट दैट. तो एक ये चैलेंज था. मैंने वाइफ से बात किया और अम्मा से, मतलब मेरे मदर से बात किया. दोनों के साथ ये इशू था कि अच्छा कर रहे हो, अच्छा पैसा मिल रहा है, यू आर सिटिंग इन इन द स्टेट और सब कुछ आपका बढ़िया चल रहा है, क्यों छोड़ना है तुम्हें. तो बहुत हिम्मत करके मैंने जॉब छोड़ दी इन 2019 और वापस मैंने काम शुरू किया. प्रतिम चैरिटेबल फाउंडेशन के नाम से एक न्यू ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सेक्शन 8 में रजिस्टर्ड किया, वहाँ पे शुरू किया. स्टार्ट अच्छा हुआ था, एजुकेशन में काम करना था. द रीज़न बिहाइंड टू वर्क इन द फील्ड ऑफ एजुकेशन, 2 रीज़न था. एक तो क्या है कि जो अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड इकोसिस्टम है ना, वो बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट करता है यूपी जैसे छोटे स्टेट और स्मॉल टाउन में. क्योंकि मैंने जो अभी पहले शेयर किया था ना कि मुझे लिखने की आदत डाली नहीं गई है. और जो टीचर्स हैं, बीएसए हैं, बेसिक शिक्षा अधिकारी, जिसको आप डीओज एंड बीओज बोलते हैं, वो सब भी है. तो एंड इवन उसके नीचे के लेवल भी जो रिसोर्स कोऑर्डिनेटर होते हैं, वो सब कुछ इतना हॉच पॉच होता है ना, आप पढ़ते तो हैं बट यू डोंट गेट एनीथिंग प्रॉपरली, और लिखने की कोई प्रैक्टिस कराई नहीं जाती. तो एक तो वो बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम था. और सबका अप्रोच डायरेक्ट सीएम के पास होता था. मतलब अगर आपको कुछ प्रॉब्लम है तो उनका अप्रोच क्या है, वो उस समय अखिलेश या फिर मायावती के पास होता था. तो दिल्ली आप चाह के भी कुछ कर नहीं सकते. दैट्स अ रियल चैलेंज व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू अबाउट मिर्जापुर और मे बी यूपी एंड ऐसे स्मॉल टाउन में जो होता है. इवन इन हरियाणा आई ऑल्सो फेस द सिमिलर थिंग. दूसरा क्या था, बच्चों का जो लर्निंग लेवल है ना, दैट्स अ वेरी लो. डेटा भी बोलता है बट डेटा में एक आपको सरप्राइजिंग मिलेगा. जब लिटरेसी रेट के पास जाएंगे ना मिर्जापुर के, तो यू विल फाइंड दैट ऑलमोस्ट 70% का लिटरेसी रेट है, जो कि इतना बुरा नहीं है. बट अगर आप कुछ पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटीज में जाएंगे तो वहां पे आपको हार्डली 20 to 25% मिलेगा लिटरेसी रेट. क्योंकि वो जो एजुकेशन है ना, वो एक पर्टिकुलर सोसाइटी है जिनको मिलता है. सारे बेनिफिट्स एक पर्टिकुलर सोसाइटी को मिलता है, एक पर्टिकुलर तबका, हम लोग इसको जो हिंदी में अगर बोले तो उनको मिलता है, वो प्रिविलेज है. मतलब आई ऑल्सो बिलोंग टू द सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ फैमिली जहाँ पे कम से कम ये सारी चीज़ें मिलता है. एकेडमिक चैलेंजेस है, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग. तो ये एक रीज़न था. दूसरा जिसकी वजह से मुझे काम करना था मिर्जापुर में और वहाँ के बच्चों के लिए. ठीक है, तो ये 2 मेन रीजन था. तीसरा जो था, यूथ जो निकल के आते थे ना, वो सारा प्रॉब्लम क्या था कि हमारा जो फाउंडेशन है ना, वो स्ट्रांग नहीं है. तो जब मेरा फाउंडेशन अच्छा नहीं होगा तो हम आगे जाके सीनियर सेकेंडरी में और फिर ग्रेजुएशन में वो उतना अच्छा करेंगे नहीं जो मैं कर रहा था. एंड स्टिल द यूथ आर डूइंग द सिमिलर थिंग. अभी भी वो चैलेंज चल रहा है क्योंकि हमें एजुकेशन को ना पैसे से लिंक करके ही बताया गया. पढ़ोगे तो पैसा कमाओगे, पैसा कमाओगे तो लाइफ अच्छी होगी. एंड दिस इज प्रैक्टिकल बातें मैं आपको बिल्कुल बता रहा हूं. ऐसे ही होता है यूपी में, ऐसे अभी भी यही कर रहे हैं. अभी हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं बट स्टिल वी हैव अ चैलेंज. यहाँ पे क्या बोल रहे हैं, यहाँ पे थोड़ा डिफरेंट है. तो दिस इज व्हाट आई लर्न फ्रॉम द एपीयू फैकल्टीज और उसको अभी मैं वापस इंप्लीमेंट रेप्लिकेट करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ अपने एरिया में. तो ये रीजन था जो मैंने शुरू किया. मिर्जापुर क्यों किया, एक तो मैं वहाँ पे आई बॉर्न एंड ब्रॉट अप फ्रॉम देयर, तो मेरा एक इमोशनल कनेक्शन है. एंड दूसरा मेरी सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी है. आई डू I create awareness about APU, TIS, JNU, जामिया इस्लामिया, जितने भी अच्छे यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं. मैं बच्चों को, यूथ को, सबको मोटिवेट करता हूँ कि ये छोड़ो आप और नया कुछ देखो. क्योंकि हमारे एरिया में क्या है, जॉब मतलब सिविल सर्विसेज, जॉब मतलब SSC, जॉब मतलब गवर्नमेंट जॉब, 1 डे जॉब. ये इसको देयर इज नो वैल्यू. मैं आपको बताऊँ, जब मेरी शादी होने वाली थी, पूछे लड़का करता क्या, मैंने कहा एनजीओ में काम करता हूँ. बोले वो तो ठीक है, पोजीशन क्या, मैंने कहा कोऑर्डिनेटर. बोले वो क्या होता है, कोऑर्डिनेटर नहीं जानता कोई. तो 2-3 शादी तो गई हाथ से, ऐसे निकल गई. बोले यार लड़का पता नहीं कुछ करता होगा. बाद में लिटरली फिर झूठ बोलना बोला. कैलाश कांडपाल सर से मैंने बात किया. हमने कहा सर क्या करना है, बोले यार मैनेजर बोल दो तुम. मैंने मैनेजर बोल दिया. मैंने कहा मैनेजर हूँ. बोले कहाँ पे, मैंने कहा वो अजीम प्रेम जी फाउंडेशन. बोले वो विप्रो वाला. अजीम विप्रो में मैनेजर, बढ़िया पैसा कमाता होगा. शादी हो गई मेरी. तो ये तो मतलब उधर ऐसा सोच है. और पहले वाले जो एनजीओ थे ना, उन्होंने इतना पैसा कमाया, इतना पैसा कमाया, अभी तो एनजीओ का नाम सुन के ही गाली देते लोग. सिर्फ सबके पास बड़े बड़े घर है और खूब पैसा है, तो वो उन्होंने इमेज और खराब कर रखा है. तो ये सारे रीजन थे जो शुरू करना था मिर्जापुर में. एंड अभी हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, बेसिकली हम लोग स्कूल में 2 तरह के प्रोग्राम चलाते हैं, मतलब ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ. वन इज मॉडल स्कूल प्रोग्राम, जहाँ पे हम गवर्नमेंट स्कूल के साथ MOU करते हैं. एंड वहाँ पे चिल्ड्रंस का जो लर्निंग लेवल है उसको इंप्रूव करने की कोशिश करते हैं एंड वी आल्सो डू टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग, उनकी कैपेसिटी करते हैं, स्पेशली मैथ्स और लैंग्वेज को लेकर के थोड़ा सा न्यू जो भी टीचिंग मेथडोलॉजी है उसको फोकस करें और पुराना ट्रेडिशनल तरीकों को दूर करें। इसमें बेसिकली हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि हमारे पास टीम है और हम लोग स्कूल के साथ, अच्छा इसमें एक चेंज हमने किया हुआ, जनरली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फॉलो द टॉप टू बॉटम अप्रोच। वो जाते हैं स्टेट पे बात करेंगे स्टेट के डायरेक्टर से या फिर ना SCRT में किसी से और बोलेंगे हम ये काम करना चाहते हैं, देन दे हैव अ MOU और फिर वो काम शुरू करते हैं। वी हैव टेकन द रिवर्स अप्रोच, बॉटम टू टॉप। फर्स्ट वी विजिट अ स्कूल, पहले स्कूल में जाते हैं बिकॉज हमें पता है कि हम छोटे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, वी हैव अ लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज, वी हैव अ लिमिटेड एनर्जी, वो बचा के रखना बहुत जरूरी होता है। तो हम स्कूल विजिट करते हैं, जितने स्कूल वाले, मतलब अगर हमें पहले ये साल में एक स्कूल काम करना था, सो वी हैड विजिटेड 22 स्कूल्स और हमें लगा कि जो सबसे ज़्यादा मोटिवेटेड होगा एंड विलिंगली हमारे साथ काम करने को तैयार होगा, उन्हीं के साथ काम करेंगे, क्योंकि हम अपना टाइम और पैसा बर्बाद नहीं करना चाह रहे, मोटिवेट करने के लिए। सो दिस इज वन थिंग विच इज न्यू फॉर प्रतिम फाउंडेशन, और हम लोग इस तरह से अप्रोच करते हैं। एंड इसमें क्या करते हैं, मेजर फोकस इज ऑन रेमीडियल टीचिंग, क्योंकि लर्निंग लेवल का इशू है तो ऑब्वियसली उनको सपोर्ट चाहिए, एंड फॉर दैट वी हैव अ स्कूल इंप्रूवमेंट कोऑर्डिनेटर जो स्कूल में आके काम करते हैं। एंड दूसरा जो है, हम लोग लाइब्रेरी को बड़ा फोकस करते हैं कि लाइब्रेरी एस्टैब्लिश होना चाहिए और अगर है तो उसको स्ट्रेंथन करें। एंड थर्ड जो है वो टीचर्स को हम इंगेज करते हैं, चाइल्ड सेंटर के अप्रोच के लिए काम करने के लिए बहुत फोकस करते हैं। तो ये है, एंड इसके साथ एक दूसरा प्रोग्राम है दैट इज कॉल्ड CLC, कम्युनिटी लर्निंग सेंटर्स। ये उन बच्चों के लिए है जो आउट ऑफ स्कूल हैं या स्ट्रीट चिल्ड्रन हैं, जो स्कूल में नहीं है, उनको कनेक्ट करने के लिए ये 2 प्रोग्राम हम लोग रेगुलर चलाते हैं। सो इन लास्ट 2 ईयर्स अभी हमने क्या किया, 2 स्कूल के साथ हमारा MOU है, एंड अलॉन्ग विद दैट हमारे पास मोर देन 455 चिल्ड्रन है जो इनरोल्ड हैं स्कूल एंड कम्युनिटी लर्निंग सेंटर्स को लेकर। वी हैव अ टीम ऑफ 22 टीचर्स, 2 ही स्कूल में कुछ कम टीचर हैं, बट एक टीचर्स का नेटवर्क बन गया, एंड पीपल यूज टू पार्टिसिपेट इन द मीटिंग, और जो भी हम लोग ट्रेनिंग और इस तरह की चीज़ें करते हैं उसमें वो पार्टिसिपेट करने लगते हैं। एक दूसरा, मतलब ये सब काम कर रहे थे हम लोग, अच्छा शुरू किया था, बट द चैलेंज इन बिटवीन 19 में शुरू किया, 20 में कोविड आ गया। अब एक और बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आ गई, क्योंकि अम्मा और बीबी ने तो पहले बोला था बेटा ये करना नहीं है तुम्हें, और मैंने ले लिया डिसीजन। और इसमें एक बात और है कि एक बेटा तो पहले ही था, एक और हो गया 2019 में, तो 2 हो गए, पैसे आ नहीं रहे, देयर इज नो सैलरी, मतलब महीने के एंड में कुछ क्रेडिट नहीं होना है। अभी मैं सोच रहा हूँ सर्वाइव कैसे करना है। तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली वी हैव अ कोविड, बट फॉर्चुनेटली वी इनकैश्ड इट इन अ वेरी वेल वे। कैसे? क्योंकि वहां पे ग्राउंड पे काम करने वाला कोई था ही नहीं। सो वी हैव अ टीम ऑफ 22 यूथ जो हमारे साथ काम करते थे, एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सपोर्ट हमें काफ़ी मिल गया, क्योंकि जब मैं ग्राउंड में इनिशियली जब कोविड आया तो कुछ 10-12 जो अच्छे बिजनेसमैन होते हैं वो कुछ लेकर आए बांटने के लिए, कभी दलिया, दे वर डूइंग वेरी गुड जॉब। बट कोविड जब बढ़ा तो वो सब डर गए और वापस दे बैक टू देयर होम। फिर प्रॉब्लम थी कि काम करेगा कौन, तो प्रतिम फाउंडेशन वॉज देयर इन मिर्जापुर। तो उसके बाद लोगों ने कॉन्टेक्ट किया मुझे, लोकल भी, एंड आई गॉट अ कॉल फ्रॉम द दिल्ली, आसाम, कोलकाता कि एक जो है कछवा ब्लॉक है, वहाँ पे 7 फैमिली फंसा हुआ है, शैलेश कैन यू हेल्प अस और हेल्प देम इन दैट वे। तो मैंने उनको हेल्प किया, फिर जो भी था, इवन अजीम प्रेमजी फाउंडेशन ऑल्सो हेल्प अस टू डिस्ट्रीब्यूट द ड्राई राशन। तो इसको जो हमने इनकैश किया ना, मीडिया कवरेज भी अच्छा मिल रहा था, बिकॉज सब लोग को देख रहे थे कि अच्छा काम हो रहा है। सो दैट वॉज द रिमार्केबल टाइम फॉर प्रतिम फाउंडेशन टू बिल्ड द ट्रस्ट अमंग द कम्युनिटीज। वो एक बहुत रिमार्केबल था और उसका अभी हमें फायदा मिल रहा है, इसलिए अब वो चैलेंज नहीं है। नाउ देयर आर 2 challenges इन दिस जर्नी। वन इज ऑब्वियसली फंडिंग, छोटे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है तो वी आर ऑल्सो लुकिंग। विप्रो फेलोशिप के लिए भी अप्लाई किया 2 बार, एक बार तो हुआ नहीं, दूसरी बार रिजेक्ट हो गया। बोले आप बहुत अभी यंग हैं, आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अभी यंग है, मुझे लगता है थोड़ा और टाइम चाहिए, तो उसके बाद आप लोग के बारे में सोचते हैं। अगेन 2 days बैक आई हैव अप्लाइड, आई डोंट नो वेदर आई गेट इट और नॉट। आई नो देयर इज अ प्रॉपर प्रोसेसिंग, तो अगर कुछ होता है तो अच्छा है, नहीं भी होता तो आई हैव, वो कृणाल भाई ने मुझे सजेस्ट किया कि लोकल बिजनेसमैन को पकड़ो, छोटे छोटे पैसे लो, एंड उस तरह से हमने फिर काम शुरू किया, अपना लोगों को इंक्लूड किया। नाउ वी हैव अ टीम ऑफ लोकल बिजनेसमैन जो हमें सपोर्ट करते हैं, माई ब्रदर एंड फैमिली मेम्बर्स जो थोड़ा रिच है, दे ऑल्सो स्टार्टेड कमिंग टुगेदर एंड हेल्पिंग अस। तो एक तो ये चैलेंज है, एंड ऑब्वियसली थोड़ा नए टाइम में ये होता है, कोविड की वजह से बाकी लोगों का फोकस भी थोड़ा हेल्थ में चला गया और डिफरेंट वर्क में चला गया, अदरवाइज वी कुड गेट मोर सपोर्ट। दूसरा, एक छोटे शहर में बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि प्रोफेशनल्स नहीं है हमारे पास। यूथ जो हैं उनको बहुत पैसा चाहिए, कम से कम 20-30 हज़ार रुपये तो चाहिए, उतना तो अभी मैं फाउंडर हूँ, को फाउंडर मेरे पास नहीं है, मैं उनको कहाँ से दूंगा। एंड वॉलंटियर और इंटर्न्स नाम का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट होता नहीं है। इंटर्न के लिए भी आएंगे ना, तब भी बोलेंगे सर पैसे कितने मिलेंगे, और वो पैसे में भले उनको लिखने पढ़ने का और बाकी सारे जो चैलेंजेस है वो काम कर पाएंगे या नहीं कर पाएंगे, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग। वॉलंटियर करेगा उसके लिए भी उन्हें पैसे चाहिए, तो एक ये बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत है। और जब आ जाते हैं ना तो उनको रिटेन करना, दैट्स अनदर चैलेंज फॉर अस। मतलब ये बहुत ही प्रैक्टिकल बातें बता रहा हूँ, तो ये बहुत मुश्किल है। फिलहाल फॉर्चुनेटली वी हैव अ टीम ऑफ 6 जो डायरेक्टली ग्राउंड में इन्वॉल्व हैं। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट वी हैव अ वेरी गुड फ्रेंड्स फ्रॉम APU, जैसे संदेश है, नोमिता मैम है, कृणाल भाई हैं, पंकज है, संतोष भाई हैं, श्री लक्ष्मी है, प्रियंका है, विकास कहाँ है, सोना मत सुन ले, विकास है। तो दे ऑल्दो दे आर आउटसाइड फ्रॉम द यूनिवर्सिटी और अलग अलग प्लेस में है। मीनाक्षी डूइंग वर्किंग विद मी डायरेक्टली, वो अभी गुजरात में रह रही बट वो कंटिन्यू काम कर रही है पृथ्वी फाउंडेशन के साथ। सी वॉज इन 2014 बैच, 12 to 14, तो वो डायरेक्टली काम कर रहे हैं। तो दे आर द पीपल हु आर एक्चुअली मोटिवेटिंग एंड दे हैव गिवन द मॉरल सपोर्ट, जिसकी वजह से चल रहा है। बाकी तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी थोड़ा अप एंड डाउन तो लगा रहता है लाइफ में एंड वर्क में, बट आई बिलीव दैट वी विल डू बेटर वर्क इन फ्यूचर। अभी भी कर रहे हैं बट आगे और अच्छा कर पाएंगे, और शायद अपने शहर के जो यूथ हैं उनको जॉब भी दे पाएंगे, क्रिएट कर पाएंगे, एंड विल चेंज द एजुकेशन सिस्टम और अदर थिंग्स। मिर्ज़ापुर के बारे में एक सीरीज़ आया था, उसको लेकर थोड़ा इधर उधर की बातें आ गई होंगी दिमाग में। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि उससे इतर थोड़ा इमेज बनाए, थोड़ा बहुत तो है, ऐसा नहीं है, लेकिन वैसा नहीं है। मतलब हम तो सीधे साधे गांधीवादी जैसे लोग हैं, है ना, और बाकी तो बदल ही दिया था मुझे। सो दैट्स ऑल फ्रॉम माई एंड, यही मुझे बस बोलना था। ओवरऑल इट्स गुड, सब अच्छा चल रहा है। क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं आप लोग। थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग मी अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर सर, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर सपोर्ट। सर से बात होती है, काफ़ी सपोर्ट मिल जाता है, बीच बीच में करते रहते हैं। किसी को कुछ बोलना है तो बोल सकता है ना, क्वेश्चन पूछ लो, नहीं पूछ लो कहाँ गए थे? कहाँ पे? अच्छा वो नहीं, वो तो सीक्रेट है ना। संदेश का तो बस नाम ले लिया क्योंकि वो अपना दोस्त है। एक बार वो कौन तो था, किसी ने बोला कि मैंने केस कर दिया था उधर यूनिवर्सिटी में कि लोग ड्रिंक करते हैं और ऐसा ऐसा है। मैंने कहा यार मुझे क्यों करना है किसी के ऊपर केस, मैंने कोई कंप्लेन नहीं किया, मुझे चखना मिलता था साथ में फ्री में खाने के लिए, एंड दैट वाज इनफ फॉर मी। कोल्ड ड्रिंक चखना मिल रहा था फ्री में, काहे अपने पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मारेंगे, वो बाद में बता दूंगा आपको। अच्छा यही क्वेश्चन है? इसके बारे में क्या बताऊं? अच्छा एक और मतलब जब मैंने यूनिवर्सिटी शुरू, मतलब पहली बार नया नया आया ना, तो ये अंकिता और श्वेता ऐसे यंग बच्चे आए हुए थे ना, बहुत से सीनियर थे, हम लोग कुछ थोड़े कम एज वाले थे, 29-30 वाले। तो वहाँ पे हम लोग फंस गए। मतलब कुछ लोग बात करना चाह रहे हैं एक दूसरे से, कुछ लोग कुछ नेचुरल ब्यूटी देख रहे हैं, देयर वाज समथिंग, कुछ घास फूस देख रहे हैं, इंसेक्ट्स, उतना वाला फील नहीं आता अभी भी। तो somebody told that, oh my god, what a lovely insect, what a beautiful ग्रॉस कलर। हमने कहा ये साला रहमान परेशान है कि लड़की बात कर ले और ये लोग जो है घास फूस देख रहे हैं। सो दैट वाज आल्सो वन ऑफ द इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग इन द APU। तो अच्छा था। अभी तो मुझे काफ़ी बच्चे नए मिले, तो थोड़ा अलग बैकग्राउंड के आ रहे हैं, उस तरह के नहीं, बट अपनी बॉन्डिंग बहुत अच्छी है फर्स्ट बैच और सेकेंड बैच और बाकी फैकल्टीज हैं, तो वो भी मुझे बेनिफिट मिलता है।
Yes, Silas, I wanted to ask you one question. Thank you for नहीं, मैं इंग्लिश में ही पूछूंगा बिकॉज नहीं, मैं चाहता हूँ कि ये जो है इंस्टेंस आप इंग्लिश में ही बताएं ताकि सबको अच्छे से समझ में आए। अदरवाइज यू कैन टेल अस इन हिंदी ऑल्सो। Okay, so thank you for kind of sharing a lot of the Simoga experience. So that reminded me that while we were camping in the forest, I heard that in the middle of the night you ran away from the camp. So can you reshare that experience?
I think I can share in Hindi. That will be better. आप लोग बाद में ट्रांसलेट कर देना। So what happened? डे टाइम में कुछ एक तो बोले कि चलो स्विमिंग करना है और एक बोट बनाना है कुछ लकड़ी का बांध बांध के इसको इस पार से उस पार ले जाना है। सो आई हैड इन माई माइंड कि ये जो पॉन्ड होगा ना काफ़ी बड़ा होगा, क्योंकि मैं तो गंगा जी के किनारे वाला हूँ, गंगा रिवर्स। तो हम लोग तो गंगा में स्विमिंग सीखे थे एंड दैट्स अ बिग रिवर। तो मुझे नहीं पता था, वहाँ पहुंचे तो देखा ये छोटा सा पॉन्ड, उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं गढ़ा, अपने कुछ यूपी बिहार वाले शायद जानते होंगे। हमको अच्छा इसमें वो करना है। अच्छा उसके बाद फिर क्या हुआ, बोले इसमें जाके नहाना है, नहाने के बाद ये इधर से लेके उधर जाना है, कुछ बांध के बोट वोट बना के। एंड सडनली क्या हुआ, प्रज्ञा एंड श्री लक्ष्मी और somebody else, वो उन्होंने वो बीच में कूदे और डूबने लगे। मैंने कहा माय गॉड, ये काफ़ी लग रहा है कि ये क्या बोलते हैं उसको, गहरे को काफ़ी डीप है अंदर, तो ये प्रॉब्लम। तो मैं अंदर कूद गया, हमने कहा चलो पहले इनको बचा लेते, बोट तो बाद में। वहाँ गया तो देखा इतना ही पानी था। हमने कहा ये डूब कैसे रहे, हमने कहा क्या हुआ, बोले वी आर, हमने कहा अरे यार कहाँ कुछ इतने पानी में कौन डूबता है। तो पूरा थक गया था, मतलब वो स्विमिंग करके, वो क्या होता है बहुत दिन बाद आप स्विमिंग करिए ना तो आपके शोल्डर में पेन होता है। तो मैंने बताया ना कि जब मैं आया तो यंग था और ये दूसरा ही दिन था, भेज दिया। हमने कहा जो ठीक है, एक तो खाना अच्छा नहीं मिला, रात में भी जो है वो मैगी बोला बना खाने के लिए, मैगी तो खाता नहीं था, इतना बड़ा बर्तन लेके पूरा दिन भर ढोया, वहां जाने के बाद बोले कहा है खाने के लिए मैगी, ऊपर से जो फैमिली थी ना दे सेड कि नहीं हम लोग थोड़ा स्वल्पा लेंगे, इतना तो मैगी खा गया उन्होंने, उनकी फैमिली इतनी बड़ी थी। हमने कहा अपने पास 12 लोग हैं, ये कैसे खाएंगे। खैर वो समहाउ मैनेज। नेक्स्ट डे क्या था, वो थोड़ा मूड तो गर्म हो गया था, गया वहाँ पे तो तैरा वैरा, तो ये क्या पूरा देयर वाज अ ह्यूज पेन ऑन शोल्डर। तो उसके बाद एक बंदा था, वो ऐसे यहाँ पे डिस्कवरी चैनल में जैसे लगाते ना टॉर्च वॉर्च, प्रकाश नाम था उसका, वो घूम रहा था, वो कुछ तो बीच में बोले जा रहा था। तो लेके गया रात में सोने के लिए, बोला यहाँ पे सोना है, अंधेरे में लेके गए, अच्छा गोल गोल घुमा के वहीं रखा था, पता भी नहीं था कि अगल बगल में है, सुबह पता चला। तो मैंने कहा भाई बहुत पेन कर रहा है, थोड़ा कुछ दे दो पेन किलर। तो बोला कि वहाँ पे देंगे। मैंने कहा ठीक है, वहाँ पहुँच गया 15-20 मिनट आधे घंटे में। मैंने कहा यार बहुत पेन कर रहा है, थोड़ा दे दो कुछ, तो कुछ नहीं बोला। फिर थर्ड टाइम बोला तो मुझसे बोला कि अरे तो क्या हुआ, मर थोड़ी गया। अरे हमने कहा इतनी बड़ी बात बोल दिया, यूपी के लड़के से मर नहीं गया। तो उसके बाद तो फिर मतलब बहुत ही काफ़ी लड़ाई वड़ाई हो गई। फिर सीटी दिया था कि जब भी प्रॉब्लम होगी बजाना। तो हमने कहा अब तो प्रॉब्लम ही है, प्रॉब्लम है, अब तो बजाएंगे। हमने कहा तो ना मैं रहूँगा या ना रहने दूंगा किसी को। तो मैंने खूब सीटी बजाई सबको, मतलब फिर वापस लेकर आए। वो एक मैडम थी, उन्होंने पेन किलर दिया, समझा, फिर जाके सोया। सुबह उठ के देखा तो सब अगल बगल में पड़े हुए थे वहाँ पे। तो ये वाली स्टोरी थी उसमें, तो उसकी वजह से था। फिर बाद में बदल गया ना, मैंने बोला ये तो पहले सेमेस्टर में था, कुछ लोगों से भी लड़ाई किया। मतलब हमारा नर्चरिंग जो हुआ है ना, द प्रॉब्लम इज कि अब जो हम बच्चों के साथ कर रहे हैं ना, वो थोड़ा सेंसिबल हो रहा है। जिस कम्युनिटी में, जिस एरिया में हम बड़े बड़े हैं ना, वहाँ पे ये सारे भेदभाव बचपन से प्रैक्टिस किए जाते, सिखाए नहीं जाते। वो लिटरली बताते हैं ये हिंदू, ये मुसलमान, ये ब्राह्मण, ये छत्री, ये सारा ड्रामा होता है। और जब बचपन से आपके साथ दिमाग में कुछ चल रहा है ना, वो आपके आदत में आ जाएगा। तो मैं ऐसे नहीं मान रहा हूं कि मेरी सारी गलती थी। ऑब्वियसली वो सारी चीजें जाने में टाइम लगेगा। उसके बाद तो मतलब मैं और आसिफ भाई एक ही उसमें कप में चाय पिए, ऐसा कुछ दिक्कत नहीं होती। इवन ही वाज हैविंग, क्या एक खा रहे थे आप, एक पफ या कुछ खा रहे थे, एंड समबडी वाज लाफिंग, अरे तू तो ब्राह्मण है, वो पी लिया हमने, तो क्या हो गया, वो तो अंदर खा लिया ना, तो चाय तो बाहर है। तो वो तो सारी चीजें फिर खत्म हो गई, बढ़िया था। एनीथिंग एल्स? थैंक यू। उम्मीद है ज़्यादा बोर नहीं किया है। फिर मिलते हैं। यस यस, विभा मैम।
Yeah, since you mentioned this difference about the upbringing that you had and what you have, right? When you work with children now through Pratibham Foundation, do you try in some way to build what we call constitutional values?
Yes.
And how? Because it must be very difficult with the current political situation as well, right?
So basically here what we do that, the theory is obviously is a part of that thing. But along with that, we do a lot of session, that brainstorming session with the teachers and also students. So we have students committee, जहाँ पे हम लोग बैठ के ना ये सारी चीज़ों को बातचीत करते हैं, और वहाँ पे वी ट्राई टू रिड्यूस ऑल द चैलेंजेस जो इस तरह के समाज में होते हैं, क्योंकि अभी उन्हीं के साथ बैठते हैं। एंड वी ऑल्सो celebrate all the festivals and all the small events with those communities. तो अभी I'm a part of that, तो अभी उतना challenge नहीं होता। But what I believe that जो हम सोचते हैं, जो हम करना चाहते हैं, वो हमें ग्राउंड पे करना पड़ेगा, एंड दैट शुड बी विजिबल फ्रॉम अदर्स ऑल्सो। सो अगर वो सारी चीज़ें होता है, द थिंग्स विल डेफिनेटली चेंज फ्रॉम द सोसाइटी। तो दिस इज द वे वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू इट। क्योंकि अभी भी हमारे लिए चैलेंज है, स्कूल में जाते हैं तो एक टीचर मिलता है, टीचर इज फ्रॉम द अपर कास्ट, और उनका एक डिफरेंट माइंडसेट है, और मैं कुछ और जाता हूँ, एंड दे ऑल्सो थिंक दैट कि शैलेश आया तो हमारे लिए कुछ अच्छा होगा, बट एक्चुअली उसके अगेंस्ट इन द सेंस कि लाइक हम उस तरह से करना नहीं चाहते। हम चाहते हैं कि एक जो इक्वलिटी का चीज़ें जो है डेवलप होनी चाहिए। तो एक ऐसा समाज का हम लोग डेवलप कर पाएँ जहाँ पे सबके लिए एक इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी है, स्पेशली एजुकेशन और आपका हेल्थ एंड लाइवलीहुड, ये सारी चीज़ें तो मिलनी चाहिए। एट द सेम टाइम वी ऑल्सो डू द कैपेसिटेट टू द यूथ, कि उनको लेकर हम एंगेज करते हैं। वी डू अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क विद देम। वो इसलिए करते हैं क्योंकि वो उनके साथ, मैंने आपको बताया ना, काफ़ी डाइवर्ट होते हैं। वो जॉब मतलब गवर्नमेंट जॉब होता है, तो उनको हम कंटिन्यूसली मोटिवेट कर रहे हैं। तो अभी हमारे पास टीम है, बहुत से बच्चे अभी APU में, टेस्ट में और इधर उधर जाने लगे हैं। तो इसके पीछे का रीज़न ये कि उनको जब हम मोटिवेट करते हैं, उनके साथ जब हम ये सेशन लेते हैं, दे ऑल्सो ट्रांसफर इट टू द कम्युनिटी एंड चिल्ड्रेन। इस तरह से चीज़ों को प्रैक्टिस करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। ऑब्वियसली थ्योरी एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स आर देयर, बट प्रैक्टिस को हम लोग इसी तरीके से करते हैं ऑन ग्राउंड। थैंक यू मैम।
एक हेलो बड़े भाई इधर। तो थैंक यू फॉर एवरीथिंग, क्योंकि मैं काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें आपके साथ कनेक्ट कर रहा था, और चाहे वो सिमिलर बैकग्राउंड हो, चाहे सिमिलर चैलेंजेस हो। बट एक चीज़ मुझे बहुत अच्छे से याद है, जब हमारा ओरिएंटेशन था, फर्स्ट इंटरेक्शन था सीनियर्स के साथ, आपने एक लाइफ टाइम के लिए एक मोटिवेशन सेंटेंस दिया था। और इनका कहना था कि डोंट पैनिक बट पैनिक विद स्माइल। सो वो अभी तक मुझे याद है, और मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं उसने मुझे एपीयू में भी सर्वाइव करने में मदद किया, और स्टिल आई कैन प्रैक्टिस दैट थिंग इन माई डेली लाइफ, कि अगर कभी भी कोई चैलेंज आ रहा है तो ठीक है, अचानक से पैनिक नहीं होना चाहिए, बट उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए आप आगे क्या कर सकते हो, दैट इज द मेन थिंग। सो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर एवरीथिंग बड़े भाई।
थैंक यू छोटे, थैंक यू सो मच। वो तो है सभी के लाइफ में, कुछ लोग शेयर कर देते हैं, कुछ लोग छुपा लेते हैं, बट प्रॉब्लम सबके है ना, चैलेंजेस तो बना रहता है, फैमिली वाला इशू भी होता है सबके।
अपना क्या है, अपन खुली किताब है।
चलो थैंक यू।
Thanks, Shailesh. I think we have last presentation. Yasin. Yasin is has the. No, we have Asif too. Who goes first? Yasin maybe. Yeah. Yasin and Asif left, and we have lunch coming up. So request you all to. Yeah, time check is required at this point. So Yasin is from the MA Development 2011-13 batch, and has been doing many things. I won't read the entire summary, because Yasin has been in connection with us, and his work with Library for All and the work in the Northeast has been well documented. Over to you, Yasin. I won't take much time. So we have a photo before lunch. So all the alum have requested that the faculty who are with us don't go away before the photo. So please join us for the photo, and then we'll go on to lunch. Over to you, Yasin.
Thank you, Padma. Yeah, it's big audience. Thank you, Padma. Everyone is tired. I try not to belong. So, how many of you believe the saying that if you really want something in life, the whole universe comes together to make it happen? So that happened with my life also. But I will connect with this after some short stories of my childhood. I think it must be 24 years back. I must be around grade 3 or 4, I think. My father was coming back from his office in the evening, and that time, militant stopped the bus he was coming by, and that militant snatched all the money from the entire passenger. So what I mean is that we live in a society where the militant completely dominated, completely dictated the entire state government. So, and I also live in a society where in my colony, every woman went to brick farm the whole day, and they leave their children completely stray, unattended. What happened about school or health or anything. So seeing all those, even though I was a child, I had a dream, I had a thought that I will do something, I will give back something. So that was the beginning of why I joined APU and what I am doing. So, so I will come directly to, yeah. So I did graduation from Delhi University, and at the end of my graduation, my family told me that they will not continue supporting financially for my studies. So then I thought, oh my God, what's going to happen with my life? Because I had to complete my master's somehow, and I had the dream, that childhood instinct that I will do something. So luckily, in a newspaper, I came to know about Azim Premji University, and I applied and I got into it, and I got a full scholarship, and that was the life-changing event from my life. So that's what I said. If you really want something in life, the whole world comes to you to help you make it happen. So I wasn't good at academics during APU. I love reading, but usually what I read was the coursework. My grade was also not good, but again, I had the dream that I will do something. I'll do something big. I'll do something for the region where I came. And I also remember we had an open house with the Honorable Azim Premji, and I asked him, "Sir, you gave me free education, which is really life-changing for me, which is really expensive. I can't afford it at all. And what do you expect from me after this course?" And he stood up and said, "See, after 4 or 5 years of this coursework, I expect you go back to your region and do something, bring something some change in the region where you come from." So that always remained in my mind. So with that, the course completed. The Azim Premji University completely changed the way how I see the world around me and my entire thought process. Then I didn't get the placement I wanted, but whatever the God has kept for me was always best. It turned out to be like that. I joined UNICEF for a couple of months as a research work. Then I joined Gandhi Fellowship. That time I was feeling that I was going downhill of my career. But again, what kept by God for me turned out to be good always. It completely helped me a lot. That was a really good experience, and that contributes me a lot in what I'm doing right now. Then I joined Educate Girl for 1 month, I think. So that time I felt, during Gandhi Fellowship also I had a thought that the same childhood instinct that I will do something independently. I'll go back to the region where I come from and I'll do something good. Then at Educate Girl for that couple of months, I was feeling really bad for the work I was doing. That was a job I wanted to do, but I was feeling that my intellect, knowledge, skills were completely deprived or underutilized being an employee. Then I thought, that time also I thought I will do something. Then very luckily, again, I'm coming to the point, connecting with the point, the belief that if you really want something in life, the whole universe comes together to make it happen. So with that, I think, we got into this Wipro Education Fellowship. That again, second life-changing moment. I didn't want to be an employee fulfilling the dream of someone else. So the moment we started with my co-founder, who is also from 2016 batch, Karingyo, we started, that was the moment I kicked off what I really wanted to do in my life. So everyone know it, Library Follows what the initiative we started. We work in English Foundation and English Language Literacy in Manipur, across Manipur. Now it is known as a Koro Education Foundation entity name. So I will come to the challenge, I will not be long. Organization is my life now. It cannot be separated. Whatever the challenge is happening in my organization is my challenge, my life challenge. So what the challenge is in the Northeast, running an organization in the Northeast is like really, the challenge is 10 times or 15 times more than the one running in the other part of the country, because there's extremely few CSR companies who acknowledge, who understand the requirement, the desperate need of Northeast region. So yeah, very few extremely means I think Tatatos and Wipro very thankfully. So yeah, with that I'll try to be short. Thank you.
So just wanted to know how many students and people are impacted by this Library for All initiative in Manipur?
Yeah, I think close to 11,000 children affected are benefited directly, indirectly. So children, tribal children, children who are in the valley. Yeah.
Apart from funding, what are the other struggles? If you share some of them, it will be great.
Yeah, see, building a team is the core of everything. If you can create a very transformative, I wouldn't say the ideal doesn't exist, but if you can form that team, then you can go anywhere in any speed, in any direction you want. That is the biggest challenge, especially in Northeast. It's really hard to find the desired human resource in the Northeast. I wouldn't say Northeast, Manipur currently.
Let me know if I can volunteer and help you.
You come to Manipur, enjoy the weather, work for me, just.
Sure.
Thank you.
Actually, I'll take just 1 second, right? Yasin, you had informed, can you hear me, right? Yeah. You had told about the father's memory with militancy, right? So, what is the current status of, if I may, because it's an unrecorded question, what is the current status of militancy? Like, is it easy to go to remote schools and work? Do they see you as a foreigner as well if you go with some kind of aids, right? Because in Northeast, as I know, the aid organizations were looked as something foreign coming in, to spy or some other perceptions around it. So what is the current understanding of yours around that? Is it much better or in terms of scale?
It's much better now. There are reasons where you should be sensitive, and we work in Ukrul, and we first started, we set up our office there, and their group approached us and asked we should give ransom money. So my co-founder is from the community where that militant group comes from, and he negotiated thankfully. But it's much better. Should not be a problem, but it is not completely free from them. Yeah.
Can I ask, do we have time? Okay. I wanted to ask that when you're doing work with libraries, is it that reading interest already exists and you are sort of, the resource doesn't exist, like children really want to read? Or do you have to work on building reading interest also?
They neither have the interest nor the material to create interest. What we provide is both. We first provide the material to create the interest first. Because, it's a very natural psychological thing that we don't want to read because we don't have what we want to read. It's human nature. The problem is that we don't provide the system in the school what the children want to read. For a child, baby, you provide this much encyclopedia, what are you going to do? Very simple thing.
Thanks.
Thanks, Yasin. And that was very inspirational. I think we're all going to come to Manipur soon and enjoy the weather and hopefully work with you. I'll call upon Arif, who has the toughest time now between us and lunch. Sorry, Asif. Yes, Asif. Thanks, Vibha. Asif, from the Education 12-14 batch, working with Tech Mahindra Foundation in Delhi, and has had a lot of experience. My experience with Asif has been more on the way he can condense his experiences through just about 10 words and a beautiful cartoon, and it says it all. So I think somebody who can write, Shailesh pointed out, in very short is Asif. So here you are.
Can I just sure, 15 minutes, okay. Thank you so much, Padma. It was just a pleasure to be here with looking after my faculties, my seniors, and my friends. And it is indeed, transformational experience to listen to so many wonderful stories. The only thing is this, that what APU has changed us, before APU or after APU. I didn't make a wonderful slides like Purva, but I know that. I was just aspiring, in fact, but I could not manage to. So let me share a few things, what was going on before APU. Then I will come back to post-APU. And I've just asked Padma how much time I have. So she said 15 minutes is fine, including questions, yeah. So I was writing civil services examination in 1995. You can just figure it out, my gray beard, so I can understand, nothing to be amused with this. So, and I wrote mains examination. And then that was the time when I was thinking that how can I make change in the country? Because that was the passion, and that was the reason that in 92, my mother had passed away suddenly, and then in 93, I appeared for civil services, combined defense services examination. So I thought that mother is mother, country is mother. So why should not I go for serving the motherland? And I also qualified for UPSC then, and then I appeared for this wonderful Allahabad SSC, So, but finally, I got my leg broken, and then I started for civil services and wrote and succeeded partially. It was all going smooth when I joined a government-funded minority school in Patna, where I was born and brought up, in fact. And then I joined a job, and that time I was writing civil services, preparing for that. It was 1998, and I was offered a position of teacher, teaching grades 6 to 12. There I spent 14 years, 1-4. There was leading the institution, managing independent schools, working with the teachers, helping them out at what science education could be in the school. Apart from that, my team of students worked on malnutrition and various developmental issues, which we talk as a student of development, although my background in university was education. So that was on, and that was published at newspaper level and on what is the slum area education, malnutrition all. But I got into one of the PhD programs, that was in 2004, and I started working on microbial degradation because my master's was in botany. So I started working how to manage the municipal solid waste of the cities, for which we are known as the notorious people all over the world. And then I started to isolate bacteria, which can, degrade the things, garbage very fast, and then manure can be useful to the agricultural people. But unfortunately, thesis was typed, but I was told by the Department of Education, Department of Science, where I was in, that since I was working as government aided institution, I was working there, I didn't take 6 months gap in the study your thesis is not going to be submitted. So leave aside the dream of getting PhD, so I could not submit. I was shattered, one of the biggest blow academically for me that time, 2010. It was the moment Azim Premji advertisement came in one of the newspapers I saw, and I found, why should now I go to understand education at a deeper level? And that was the time when I just searched that who are the faculties. Because I was not very much impressed that it should be a big university, rather who are the teachers who are going to make me transformational journey. And then I found plenty of, excellent teachers. I have seen Aman, Shalja, so many, almost every profile was there. Even development professors, Professor Shanta Kumar and all, he didn't taught me ever, in fact, but many people, if I'm forgetting the names, it's completely fine, Rajshri and everyone. So I found that these are the people who can really make change in my life, what I aspire to. And then when APU happened, when I came here, leaving my, job, reason was obvious, because I was here on sabbatical, not getting salary, meeting my family expectations. I was married then. I had 3 kids by then, little, and once, and then it started. But believe me, from then on, without saying much, I became brand ambassador for APU from day one, for the reason that it was the place I really wanted to be. It was transformation, not writing only the hard things what we used to do about our assignments, which we used to go to Pixel and B and then upper floors and so many things. But the most important thing was what education should be. I have written in a note also, the difference of the geography and the type of the people I lived with, that was a very different world. That was a different world. Not coming from, I was born and brought up in the capital city. Although from Bihar I am, so Patna I didn't know much about rural areas. But the type of the people, their journeys and those things impacted much. And fortunately, that very time, I got pre-placement employment offer from APF. It was there. So I was told that, can you leave your government job because you will be getting pension. I was in doldrum because my father was saying that pension is always a good thing to think about future. But I said, and even Karen Haddock was one of my professors where I went to field internship at Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education. She also said, although my father lived in Arizona, but we always talk about pension job is always good even for US people. And if you're leaving the job, I don't know what you're going to do. But fantastic, 5 years plus in Uttarakhand, worked with more than 1,000 teachers, developed curriculum, trained key resource persons, developed science group, as well as I was fortunately got an opportunity to mentor a state level mentorship for Azim Premji University UG and PG students. That was a wonderful thing because I was coming from this background and I was mentoring my own 2-3 years junior students. And many stories to tell about understanding India, new paper introduced in UG. That was how I talked and worked with them. All those things were happening, that was fantastic. But again, family obligations and many things come in life, we know all. So I moved to Tech Mahindra Foundation in 2019. Now I am training government teachers of MCD in Delhi. So more than 500 teachers of environmental studies I work with, although the size of the cohort is 4,200 teachers. And in 2020, one of my projects, that is Mobile Science Lab, got National Award from SHM. It is a National Education Innovation Award. So, and as a project lead, I'm managing these things, impacting more than 5,000 students of Delhi. We work with the students of primary school because schools do not have, laboratory at primary level. So I work that the student should come inside the bus, conduct the class, experiments, and learn science. And not learning science, right, doing science. And this doing and learning is embedded in the idea of social transformation through scientific temperament. In COVID, 2 things happened, which was very interesting. I'm just closing it now, my conversation, that I was staying in Ghaziabad, Delhi NCR. And UP and Bihar workers were just having road journeys to their home states. And that was one of the worst scene I've seen myself. So with the help of one of the organization in US, which I have been volunteering for the last 15 years, Charity Way Foundation, Rochester-based organization. So I pooled the money and brought the dry ration for 1,400 families, immediate families of Ghaziabad. Then with the help of Tech Mahindra Foundation, vaccination and basic needs things were distributed to my erstwhile state, that was Uttarakhand, and all those letters I have, very interesting letters, that the block I worked with, they got health supplies, medical supplies from the present organization I work with. So these have been the thing. But Zafar told me, although Zafar was my senior, that why don't you share also, this morning he was telling me, that another thing you did, and that was online science club I started on 22nd November 2020. So that was for the students that who could not do science, could not go to schools. Why don't do some science at home using basic materials at home level? Zafar was one of my facilitators. Pragya was facilitator. Many of my erstwhile, seniors were facilitators. We talked about moon, universe, talked about seeds, we talked about chromatography, and many things. And the students were so fascinated by the idea, they were just keeping all the materials before our science club meeting on Sunday, 4 o'clock started. That's all. Thank you so much. Any question? Yeah. Okay, that one. Okay, thank you, Vibha, because it is interesting. Yeah. So now Vibha is asking about my next move. So I think, so now I'm working with virtual reality in education. So with all the ups and downs, I got admission in Jamia Millia Islamia for PhD program, and my first semester is over, for which I was not able to submit my thesis then, 2010. And now my result is coming up. I know I will be hoping to pass through, and I will continue to work, because yesterday I was in Chennai to explore what exactly are developer doing in the field of virtual reality, and I stayed with Shudha, my roommate in university, and I think that is going to be a wonderful time. I assure you that in a few years' time you will see some of my interventions in this area. Thank you. Thank you, Vibha, to point it out. Please come up with questions. I will be happy to. Yeah. So no, Sukanda. Actually, we work in 3 areas. One is education. Second is employability, and third is disability. My area of work is Shikshantar program. In Shikshantar, we have independent in-service teacher education institute. I work there as project manager for mobile science lab and faculty environmental studies. So my universe is 2.25 lakh students studying in Eastern Delhi, mainly coming from UP and Bihar. Many people who are coming from very low, economic status, and then teachers are 4,200, and we cover 358 schools.
As you said that a lot of Delhi people are living in slums areas like railway tracks and bridges. Do you focus any education or program in these children, those who are not able to go into school? Because you saw, I am also living in Delhi and in Dil South Colony.
Okay, so I can say yes or no. For simple reason that this is not our focus area presently. Rather, we try to work in Arise program. We have a program, Arise, in which we want a regular, development of all the children in neighborhood. So we're trying to get the enrollment of all those children who are just living near the railway track or slums. We are working on that. But focused intervention is, especially my area, is teacher education. I think it must be 15 minutes over ho gaya hoga. 2 minutes leaving. 2 minutes ke liye hai permission, please. Yeah. And yes, thank you for reminding that Padma likes my cartoon. I don't make much, but yes, Unmukh days and all those days you might have seen. Sometime I get time, then I will share with you all. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So we're done with the morning presentations. I'll ask Giri again. Would you like to say a few words, or are you passing? Right from where you are? Pass. Okay. So we'll do the photograph now. We're going to do it right here because apparently it's too bright outside. So it's going to be on the stage. And Prasad, over to you. What do you want to do? Chairs will come in. Okay. So we're going to get some chairs onto the stage and do the photograph here. And while we wait for that, maybe a announcement on what comes next. We have lunch in the corridor outside, which is the seminar hall corridor. What happened? Oh, okay, okay. So many people are already at lunch apparently. So maybe we do the photograph. All of you, please stay. All of you are part of the photograph. Maybe we will do the chairs and the arrangements while we have lunch. No, that's a better idea. Thanks, Anjana. So we'll break for lunch right now. Please come back for the photograph. All of you are part of the photograph. We do have enough chairs. Please join us.
Also, one of you have the attendance sheet. Be great if.
Attendance sheet is missing. Anybody who has the attendance sheet